radio on a Saturday, and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. How you doing? Hope you're having a great afternoon. You can watch us do this thing live on YouTube, the Annie Frey Show. Right, guys? Ryan, Jake, everybody holding the fort down. How you doing, guys?
Good. Yeah, and we're going to be posting stuff there all day today. So if you have not ever tuned in to us on the live stream, today would be a good day to do it.
You need to do that. I'm really excited about one of the things we're going to talk about. Well, I'm excited about all of them, but especially do you guys know, maybe you didn't know this, how many people disappear in national parks in this country? Happens other places too, besides America. But it's stunning how many people just poof, they're gone in national parks.
Not only did I not know that number and still don't, I never would have thought to ask that question. So I'm interested to hear our guest that's coming up in the next break here.
Yeah. So I've been watching this guy. He's coming up about 22. And his name is Steve Stockton. And I've been watching his videos on YouTube. I am a total documentary geek, just so you know. I mean, and you know, of course, the algorithm, once you watch one thing, it pushes others up. Fascinating. And he's a great storyteller, and he talks about all these missing persons cases. And I'm just so interested in that. I think all of you will be when you hear it. That's coming up here right after the break. So great stuff. We'll also check in with Adam Schuster, Illinois Policy. We'll talk about voting and how competitive elections raise voter participation, which is important because, you know, you want people to get out there and vote. And of course, negative campaigning, people always complain about it. But why does everyone have to get so nasty? I've got 2 words for you, not the words you think. It works. Those are the words. It works. That's why people continue to negatively campaign and trash their opponent. And, you know, you and I have talked about this before, Ryan. You can put things in a piece of literature and campaigns that you and I could not say on the radio without being sued.
Oh, yeah. It can be just patently false. And the reason for that, I think, now we've talked about different reasons for that, but just real quick, I think the reason for that is that when you form a campaign, you're basically forming like an LLC or a little company to do it, basically. And so if you decide to sue for libel or slander, you're suing that company. Well, then right when the election's over, that company doesn't need to exist anymore. So there's no reason to even sue for it.
Well, that's part of it. I know some people who've actually sued because some things have been said that were patently false during the campaign. And some people have actually prevailed. But by the time they win, the campaign is over.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's part of it. And it's very frustrating. Or they'll win $1. Like you said, this thing is all disbanded. So they'll win $1. And what it comes down to, though, is they can have like one crumb of the truth in some campaign literature. You know, he wants to kill all the children. And when you look into it, it's some bill that they voted on that has nothing to do with that, but they'll try to make that leap. And people don't realize that. I think a lot of folks think if you put it in a piece of paper, a campaign flyer or on the internet, well, it has to be true. If you put it in a TV commercial, it has to be true. Yeah. Wow, he really did that. Wow, she did that. People believe it, unfortunately, way too often.
Yeah, exactly. Or the ad will say so-and-so defended pedophiles because there was some bill somewhere that they decided not to vote to spend money on that had nothing to do with that, but somebody tacked it on so they could use it in an ad later.
Exactly. That's exactly the kind of stuff we're talking about. We'll talk about that more coming up with Illinois Policy. That'll be coming up in the 3 p.m. hour. So did you guys see this, that the Senate Democrats have now reached an agreement on a $3.5 trillion budget plan, and Biden is calling this human infrastructure?
I have, and it looks though, I've been looking into the are they going to pass it? Because it looks as if Manchin is still not quite on board. So I don't know.
Oh, yeah. I can't imagine this. But the thing that we make fun of here is just there's no way it's going to pass. But proposals include expanded caregiving for disabled and elderly. I'm not sure what that would mean. I'm all about caring for people who are disabled and elderly. I believe in that, but I'm not sure government needs to be the first, responder for that. But I don't know. I want to see details. Universal pre-kindergarten. I had mom. How about you guys?
Yeah, Mom. Yeah, and that's just an expansion of more public schooling.
Right. I learned to read because my mom taught me, and everyone spent one day in daycare. Subsidized childcare. Okay, that's another thing. Free community college. Free. Wow.
Yeah. And you notice all these things are sort of Democrat institutions that they just want to funnel more people through
so
that they
exactly
can control
right.
the minds of the youth.
They want to employ more professors so that they can get them to the voting booth, right? There's also a plan to expand Medicare to include coverage for dental, vision, and hearing. Okay. Anyway, nobody likes boring details about legislation, but I'm at the point now where it's, $3 trillion? Yawn. Another couple of trillion? Pretty soon you're talking about real money, right?
Man, I think America's catching up on this because there have been many times like the shovel-ready job stimulus of the early Obama years that people talked about that ended up producing about 10 jobs total for $100 billion or whatever. That people overlook that stuff, but when it's starting to hit their pocketbooks like it is now with inflation, I think everybody's taking notice and saying, whoa, maybe we need to pump the brakes here. Yeah,
coming up a little bit later, we'll talk about how 1.8 million people turned down jobs recently. And the reasons for it. That's pretty interesting. We'll get to that later in the show. Yeah, I think you're right. The only thing shovel ready is what comes out of Washington politicians' mouths. Honestly, that's what it comes down to. These people. So listen, now Biden's got another plan. It's called the Build Back Better plan. I can't keep track of all these plans, which would guarantee 4 years of additional free public education. We just talked about the community colleges. But, this really is a professor employment plan, right? What else can you call it?
Yeah.
You want your little claws into the kids from the time they're 3 years old in daycare to try to separate them from the family as much as you possibly can. And then you want them through high school and college and then a couple more years. But apparently he says the fact is 12 years of education is no longer enough to compete in the 21st century. Steve Jobs, anybody? Who else? Big tech. I know Jeff Bezos has a college degree, but a lot of these other guys do not.
That's crazy. And of course, that's a talking point. So it makes sense as they're trying to pass something. But
right,
we know that boots on the ground, there are certain industries that you absolutely do want somebody to have higher education and get a PhD in, engineering, medicine, things that involve a lot more learning than a bachelor's degree. But many, and I would say even most industries at this point, they want experience. They want you to have experience and they want to look at your background. They want to look at, what have you been doing to get yourself ready for that job? They don't necessarily care about you sitting in a classroom and learning it.
And listen, nobody here is bashing college, and there are certainly occupations that need an advanced degree. But back in the day when I went to college, one of the things that I learned pretty quickly is if you want a class, sometimes you can't get the class you need, certain fundamental classes, right? Because it's full. So what I would do is I would go to school. I would go to the school and I'd buy the book. This is back in the day when you actually bought the book. I'd buy the book. I'd just show up at the class and I would be there every single day. And then as the class, just through attrition, half the class leaves or a third of the class leaves or whatever, then I would ask the teacher, would you mind signing me into the class? Now, I'd already been there every single time learning, so I wasn't behind or anything like that. And that was a great way to get a class that you needed that was full. Same with the parking. The first couple of weeks you can't park in the parking lot. After that, it's half empty because people tend to wander off. The reason I'm saying this is because if you give everybody free college, in other words, I might show up, I might not show up. How many people who are really college material really need to get those classes to become a nurse, to become a doctor? Because there are a lot of people who start at the community college. A lot of community colleges have nursing programs, for example. You give everybody free college, now you're going to have a lot of people who aren't serious sucking up chair space. And that is a real problem to the folks who are definitely headed in that direction, whatever it might be.
That's to assume, too, that there aren't already huge government and private grants for anybody to go to college. Right. If you are low income, there is something for you out there to get into college, but you have to work for it. You have to work to find it. You have to work to apply for it. And that's by design. They want to weed out people who are just going to, punch in on an app and say, yeah, I'm enrolled in college now. They want to invest money. Well, the government doesn't, but the private ones do. They want to invest money into people they know who are really seeking higher education but can't afford it.
Well, and part of the problem too is that there's this assumption that when you go to college and you put the effort in, you have to first get into college and go through all these hoops. But that tells them something about your dedication, your willing to work for what you need, your willingness to work for what you need. And if everyone just waltzes in, it's free, no big deal. I mean, it's just ludicrous that this would even be considered. But like I said, this is all about the professor employment plan. That's what it comes down to. Really, there's nothing else to it. And daycare for kids. I mean, I know everybody can't be home with their kids, but this idea that you have to have your child in some kind of an institutionalized daycare is ridiculous. And people say, well, I can't stay home. Well, because government taxes you through the wazoo. That's why a lot of people have trouble staying home. It's much more difficult than it used to be back when I was a kid to be able to have your mom stay home because, the taxes are higher. So it's like a vicious circle. The taxes are higher, so you can't stay home. The taxes are higher. You can't stay home. Your kids in government, some government institution more and more of the day. And that's what these people want because they think they can raise your kids better than you can. That's the big issue.
Well, that's a fact. And one encouraging thing that's come out of COVID is that there are so many more people deciding to homeschool and stay home with their younger kids, especially. I think it's like 35% higher right now than it was a year ago at this time. And part of that is, that the unions have kept the schools closed. So they had to do it. But I think a lot of people are finding that they're changing their priorities. And we've had kind of a bit of a reset here.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of people are realizing that, hey, listen, if I can work from home and I can go check, see how my child is doing when they're studying on their own and they're right in the next room and whatnot. I mean, a lot of people they've been forced to make it work over the last year because they've had no options. Their kids have been home. They've been out of school. They've had to figure it out. Some people have walked away from work. They're never coming back. And a lot of other folks are going, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can do both things. And my kid's learning more with the one-on-one teaching that I'm giving my child versus what's happening in school. I mean, it's like the people who work from home. A lot of times you get more stuff done because you're not constantly interrupted by, those people who show up at your desk, the chatters. You know who they are, the time suckers. They walk up to your desk and they take up your time, and you don't get things done. And when you work from home, you don't have those distractions. And it's kind of the same thing with kids. Where you want them to have the interaction with other kids. That's super important. But when it comes to the academics, they can focus because there's not that one kid in the back of the classroom or two or three causing constant disruptions.
I have no idea who those chatty people you're talking about would be. And just for the record, our radio station plays in the halls here of the office. And so none of those people work here. And I want all of my coworkers to know that. Or I might be that guy.
You know what they say, if you don't know who it is, it's you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like if there's a drama queen in every office, if you don't know who it is, it's you. Yeah, own it. Just own it, Ryan. Okay. Just own it. All right, coming up here on the Annie Frey Show, I'm Heidi Harris, of course, in for Annie Frey. Steve Stockton's going to join us. He's got a great series on YouTube, actually more than one, about missing persons. People have disappeared in national parks. It is a thing. I had no idea until I started watching his videos. Not only that it's a thing, but how prevalent it is. It's a little creepy. I got to tell you the truth. Steve's going to join us coming up next right here on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Heidi Harris.
Once I had a girl on old Rocky Top.
Candace Owens is the keynote speaker at the Defense of Liberty annual dinner on August 6th. Founder Paul Kurtman will be joined by Senator Bill Eigel at the St. Charles Convention Center. Celebrate our rights and freedoms. For tickets, go to thedefenseofliberty.com. Paid for by Defense of Liberty PAC, Zach Kurtman, Treasurer.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
Hi, it's Michael Mohan with Community Mortgage. Interest rates are still at historic lows. If you have not taken advantage of today's low rates, what are you waiting for? Whether your goal this year is to refinance to a shorter term, cash out to pay off debt, or maybe remodel your home, maybe purchase your first or even your 5th home, our low rates will save you money. I'm here in St. Louis and want to put my local market experience to work for you. Whether purchasing or refinancing, my goal is to help you save money on your home loan. And when you call, don't be surprised when I answer the phone. Call me today, Michael Mohan, 314-336-6050. 314-336-6050. 314-336-6050. Or online at communitymortgagestl.com.
Community Mortgage LLC, 224-143, NMLS 250353.
The race for the Missouri Senate seat's already heating up. Mark Cox here. Join me in person Thursday, July 15th at 18th North Central as we kick off our Decision 2022 coverage. I'll talk to each candidate one-on-one. First up, former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. We'll hear what impact he thinks he can make in the Senate. A conversation with Eric Greitens July 15th. The doors open at 6. It is free and open to the public. 18 North Central is located at 18 North Central Drive, O'Fallon, Missouri.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Legacy Box, which is the effortless way to have your outdated media digitally preserved on a modern format. And right now, they're offering a great deal, 40% off, so your memories are safe for generations. I've been having a lot of fun with Legacy Box, and think about this in terms of the summer. There's a lot of weddings. Maybe your kids are getting married. What about your wedding? Do you have all of those memories that are just packed away in a box? Give the gift of memories this year for an anniversary that you and your spouse will never forget. Once you revisit those moments, you're going to realize how much your past is worth saving. And the process is so easy, too. All you have to do is get those boxes out of the basement, unpack them, send in the old media. They will then digitize everything by hand. They send them back to you to get perfectly preserved digital copies on thumb drive, DVD, or the cloud. And then you're going to want to do it again. Right now, Legacy Box offering 40% off so you and your family can celebrate those meaningful moments at a fraction of the normal price. Visit legacybox.com/Mark. Get started today. Legacybox.com/Mark for 40% off. That's legacybox.com/Mark. Hey, it's Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, professional painting. My favorite thing about CertaPro, you do not have to do the painting. I was hooked several years ago because I did get a free estimate, just like I'm encouraging you to do at CertaPro.com. They came over. It was a kitchen job, that first job inside a house that I used to own in South City. They did the project so efficiently, so effectively. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. CertaPro.com to get your free estimate today. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com. CertaPro Painters, proven and trusted experts in painting. Check them out today, CertaPro.com.
Up to the minute traffic reports, so you don't have to keep looking at your phone. Dependable traffic on 97.1 FM Talk. Driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company, the best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Yes, you can watch us on live YouTube, The Annie Frey Show on YouTube. Watch us doing our thing. You know what? I'm a documentary geek. It's true. I admit it. I have no problem admitting that. And I'm fascinated to learn things I don't know anything about. And I came across this series on YouTube, but we'll put all the information up there in the comments on YouTube about people who've been missing or gone missing in national parks. It's a thing, and it's so prevalent you can't believe it. Steve Stockton's here, and he's an author, he's a filmmaker, producer, podcaster, musician, YouTube personality, and he's got a whole series on YouTube about these people who've just disappeared in national parks. Like, poof, they're just gone. It's crazy land. Steve Stockton, welcome to the Annie Frey Show. Glad to have you, sir.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
I love your series. Tell me how you got interested in people disappearing from national parks initially.
Well, it goes way back. In 1969, I was living in East Tennessee. I was 6 years old at the time. And close to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, there was a disappearance on Father's Day. A little boy named Dennis Martin. He was just a few months older than me. One of the most famous and most mysterious disappearances from that area. And there never any sign of him, never anything turned up, not a clue, not a trace. And it always stuck with me. That was the first time I got my head around that, yeah, something bad can happen to a kid. But then for that to just, in perpetuity like that, never any idea what happened to him.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. We're speaking with Steve Stockton, who's got a whole series on YouTube. We'll give you all the information at the end of our chat where you can find these videos. It's so interesting because people will just wander away from a campsite to go get some water or something like that, or they'll, plan a hike. I don't know why anybody hikes alone. Not judging. As a female, I'd never do it, and I know you've got a lot of stories about that. But men hiking alone who are, experienced hikers, people who should have what they need, and then all of a sudden, boom, and no trace is ever found of these people for them in many, many cases.
Yeah, and that's the strangest part. It seems it can happen to anybody. Even people that are in a group, if you are with a group in the woods, stay with the group. A lot of times it's the person that goes back because they forgot something, or goes alone to the outhouse or whatever, or goes around the corner ahead of the group, then they're never seen again.
It is so weird. We're speaking with Steve Stockton, his filmmaker. Has got a whole series on YouTube about people missing in national parks. Yeah, it is. It's just crazy because you look at it and you say, well, this could be me. These are normal people who just go out for the day. And then sometimes there'll be obviously massive searches are done. And people who are experienced in searching for human beings will go up and down every single possible place where they could have gotten in that amount of time. And yet, as you mentioned, in many cases, sometimes there's something found, a glove, a shoe, whatnot, or a car that was left parked someplace or something like that, or a tent that was empty. You talk about some of those stories too. But once again, so many of the cases, nothing ever found.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably the strangest part, because even if it were a case of an apex predator, some kind of large animal taking a person, there'll be signs of a struggle. There'll be clothing, there'll be blood evidence, and things like that. If it's, say, a human predator, a serial killer, something like that, that's one of the theories. Or maybe a group of serial killers. But then again, if they work with 100% efficiency and have yet to leave behind any real evidence or any type of forensic clues.
That's crazy. We're speaking with Steve Stockton, who's got a series on YouTube about finding missing persons. We'll give you that information here at the end of the interview. So how many people do we know in America? I know you talked about other countries too, where people have disappeared. Do we have any kind of a firm grasp on how many people in America are missing from national parks?
Not just from national parks, because that's one of the things that the parks claim, that they don't keep records. In America as a whole, and this is a frightening number, according to NamUs.gov, over 600,000 people go missing every year in the United States. Now, that's enough to fill several football stadiums or completely empty the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Now, that includes people that, like runaways that come back, people that are found, people that die of natural causes in the woods and things like that. But I think some of the current numbers I've seen, that there's currently like around 2,000 people missing in national parks.
Interesting. We're speaking with Steve Stockton, filmmaker. Has got a whole series on YouTube about missing people. And listen, there are people, as you know, and you've talked about in some of your episodes, people who are jumpers, people who are suicidal, who will go into the woods, which I think is terribly cruel, to not let anybody know what happened to you. I think that's, okay, if you want to kill yourself, that's your business. But to do that and not have anybody know what happened, I think is horrific. But I guess you're not thinking clearly when you kill yourself. So be that as it may. But the idea that you're just going out for a day hike, it is just, so many of these cases are so similar. It's weird.
Yeah. And even the ones that may or may not have been suicidal, I don't see how it's even possible to go out in the woods and off yourself in such a way that you leave no trace. There's going to be something left behind.
Steve Stockton is on the phone with us. He's in charge of the Missing Persons Mysteries, podcast or YouTube series. So I'm just kind of catching up on all of this stuff, because Heidi's been watching you for a long time apparently, but I'm just catching up, Steve. So tell me a little bit about when people come to your YouTube page, you do these videos, you find these cases. Do you talk about the reasons that it's happened? Do you get into paranormal stuff? I mean, is this all kind of on the level, it's just a typical mystery, we don't know what happened? Or are you getting into sort of into the weeds of maybe there's conspiracy stuff involved here?
Yeah, we do touch on some of the theories, and there's so many different ones, and each one seems to fit, and you think, yeah, that's what it is. But then the more you dig into it, the more you listen to something else, there's several that work. There's some of the theories include Bigfoot or Sasquatch or Dogman, some kind of cryptid like that's taking people. There are tales, particularly in the Smokies in that area, of what's termed wild feral men that live in the woods off the park that take people. There's UFO abductions. There's serial killers. There's even thoughts about a sighting that's been more prevalent recently of something they call the Glimmer Man. It's a translucent humanoid creature that they think may be taking people in the woods. There's been sightings of it. And there is no one single answer. We even have one series called The Missing and the Fae, where we look into the fairy realm, which, a lot of people that will readily believe in the Bigfoot or UFO, they'll laugh at you for talking about the Fae. But if you look back historically, especially in the UK and the Celtic areas, that was almost a religion just a few hundred years or so ago. And the Fae take people regularly. The elementals, there's all kinds of things in the unseen world. So there is almost a paranormal aspect to it, just because of the lack of evidence and not being able to find people, or times when they do find somebody deceased and they're in a place that's already been searched multiple times.
So, Steve, it sounds to me like you're a believer, like that you're following through at least and keeping an open mind to the possibility that this could be something otherworldly or at least outside of the normal parameters. What do you find video evidence of this stuff, or what makes you go there? Do you start with, well, let's examine all the sort of rational possibilities, and then if that's not those, then how do you make that leap into sort of the paranormal stuff?
Well, a lot of it is through witness accounts. There are people that have been lost and that have made it back. And oddly enough, a lot of times it'll be small children that don't really know how to articulate what happened to them, or it will be adults who claim to not remember or just refuse to talk about it. But it's almost like sometimes there's a time slip or a glitch in the matrix or something where somebody has gone missing. They'll even see and hear the rescuers. They're yelling back, trying to get their attention, but it's like they can't be seen, like they've slipped into an alternate reality. So again, try to keep an open mind and try to find a scientific and rational explanation. But in a lot of these cases, there just is none.
Yeah, we're speaking with Steve Stockton, who's an author and filmmaker. He's got a great series, and we'll give you the information just in a minute here. And also, we'll put it up on our YouTube page, or the Annie Frey Show YouTube page. By the way, I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. And we had Steve on today because I've been watching his videos for a long time. I'm just fascinated. I love his voice. I love your voice, Steve. You're like a central casting guy talking about the missing people. I mean, you do a fantastic job of it. It's just very, matter of fact, here's what it is. But I wanted to got to piggyback on something else you said that I thought was really important earlier. You mentioned when you were talking to Ryan about the whole idea of things appearing in places that had already been searched. And a lot of the things you've talked about, a shoe suddenly shows up in a place that had already been thoroughly searched, or something else like that. Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, it's not unusual in a lot of these cases for them to find the shoes that have been left behind, sometimes set neatly side by side. Other times they've been found in a tree. Clothing has been found, but neatly folded and placed on the ground or hanging somewhere, which is odd. Now, maybe in the case of hypothermia or something like that, there's part of the thing when you're freezing to death, you feel hot because your body's giving off heat more than normal. And it's called paradoxical undressing, where a person is cold, but they will take their clothes off. But this happens year round. So I don't think that's necessarily a good answer for every case.
No, and what I don't want to mention again, for those who just tuned in, this is important because there are massive searches put out for these people in a lot of cases. In most of these cases, massive searches, people who know the area thoroughly. Sometimes they use drones, sometimes they use helicopters, the police, they've got dogs, they've got all this, knowing how far you could have gotten in that period of time, checking all the ravines where you might have fallen, and still nothing. And that's the thing that's so crazy to me about it.
Yeah, hundreds of search and rescue volunteers, helicopters, dogs, FLIR, forward-looking infrared radar, that it can't find a signature. It's like the person just is not there. And I've even heard searchers say, and these are guys that are master trackers, say, they're not in the woods. They either went down or they went up, but they're not on the mountain or in the woods there. They're just simply not there.
It's so crazy. And one other thing I wanted to mention about that too, when you're in the woods, a lot of times, depending on the wind and depending on some other factors, somebody can yell and you can hear it for miles. So if somebody were to be attacked or something like that, you'd hear it. And I've not heard any reports of that in the things that you've talked about, anybody doing that someone was going after them, or an animal or a person or whatever. You don't hear anything.
Yeah, that would be the other thing with an apex predator. Even if you're attacked by a big cat or a bear or some sort of animal like that, you're going to scream. And again, there's going to be evidence of a struggle. There's going to be blood. And typically a big cat will cache its kills up in a tree, and a bear will cache its in the bushes or in the ground. But again, no sign of anything like that. It's like they just simply cease to be, literally walked out of sight and disappeared. And there's a legend among the Algonquin tribes in New England about rocks, boulders that can open up and swallow people and then spit them back out. And that's another interesting thing. A lot of the times these bodies are found in boulder fields. And you think about that, and one of the strange things, it often looks like they've been dropped from significant height when there's no height to have been dropped from. But if you think that a boulder were able to open up and swallow you and then spit you back out, you might look like you've been dropped from a considerable distance. So I think there's strange things out there that we don't know about and maybe don't consider, that we've gotten too smart and too technologically advanced and kind of lost some of our human intuition about the other things that may be out there, the other, as people like to call it.
All right.
Steve Stockton is on the phone with us. Missing Person Mysteries is the name of the YouTube channel and the name of his show. Do you watch for patterns in these kinds of things? Like, for instance, you mentioned, well, if there was, evidence of it being up a tree, it was probably a wildcat or things like that. But are there areas of the country, for instance, that if something happens in Tennessee, you're going to look for Bigfoot? If something happens in Oregon, you're going to look for aliens? Are there patterns like that you pick up on?
Not particularly where I would classify it as one thing or other, but there are what's called clusters of missing people. David Paulides has talked about that a lot in his research, where typically, again, national parks. And if you overlay where those significant clusters of missing people are, it lines up with maps showing where underground cave systems are. So that opens up a whole new can of worms there. People saying that it's some sort of underground beings, aliens, or even our government or somebody else's government with these underground bunkers that are taking people and taking them back to the bunker for whatever nefarious means.
And on that note, let's all go camping.
Yeah. 97.1
I'm actually going camping in a couple of weeks, and now I'm feeling
stay close, bring a gun, stay with your friends, right? Any other suggestions?
Don't take
Steve
your clothes
Stockton?
Off.
Yeah, keep your clothes on. Yeah.
Locator device. They're about $200 on Amazon. If something happens and you're able to trigger it, sends a message to a satellite that sends out a message to search and rescue. But that's about it. Just be careful, stay with the group. Don't wear red. Don't pick berries. And don't go into the boulder fields. Those all are areas which, especially the berry picking, that seems to upset something out there. And for whatever reason, people wearing red tend to go missing. Dennis Martin, that I talked about, that first got me interested in all this years and years and years ago, he was wearing a red shirt. There's a famous case in Vermont in what's called the Bennington Triangle of a young college girl went missing wearing a bright red coat. You think bright red, you'd be able to see somebody in the woods and they'd be able to spot it that much easier. But there's something about wearing red that angers whatever's out there that takes people.
All right. That's interesting. Okay. So don't wear red, stay with your group, bring a gun, and get like an avalanche beacon or some kind of personal locator or something with you. Keep that on your body.
Absolutely.
That's great stuff.
Bear spray.
Yeah. Okay. Bear spray. There you go. Steve Stockton, and the series is called Missing Persons Mysteries. We'll post that up on the YouTube page, Annie Frey Show YouTube page. Also written several books about this subject. Steve, I've been following you for a long time, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning. It's so interesting to me, and I know a lot of people are going, "Wow, I had no idea."
No, my pleasure, Heidi. Thanks for having me on. And that's part of the mission that we're on here, is just to spread the word and make people aware. Be careful out there in the national parks. We'd rather you enjoy yourself and live to tell the tale rather than have to make a video about you. And I've changed the way I do things. I've hiked all up and down the Appalachian Trail, solo hiked, but not anymore.
Interesting. Yeah, I can't. As a female, there's no way that I would hike alone. I don't care where it is. Once they get between you and your car, that's the end of it. But yeah, and you've talked a lot about stories like that. I guess people aren't concerned. Well, they need to be, and they need to check this out. Thank you so much, Steve Stockton. Appreciate you being here on the Annie Frey Show.
Again, my pleasure. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Wasn't he fun, guys?
Man, it was great. I love that stuff so much. I really do.
Woohoo! I love that stuff too. Woo-hoo!
Especially when they bring in the factor of aliens and fae and like, I like that.
It's so interesting because I love his voice too, but he's just real matter of fact. He just puts it out there. He's not like woohoo with all these theories and things like that. Listen, there's a lot we don't know. I'm not saying, we don't know what happened, but I just like the fact that he puts the information out there, and this one disappeared here and this and that. And if you know anything, call authorities and this and that. And I just had no idea until fairly recently how big a thing this was, of people disappearing in national parks. Crazy land. Yeah.
I had no idea going into this that actually, when I asked the paranormal question, I thought the answer was going to be no. And then that was the point.
Me too.
I thought, maybe we'll take a flyer and see if he talks about Bigfoot. No, that's
don't wear red.
A lot of what he talks
Don't pick
about.
berries.
Yeah,
yeah, but the way he said it, like Heidi was saying, it was just like, look, we haven't ruled it out. Sure, I'm in with that. That's great.
Hey, if you don't know why someone disappeared, you can't rule anything out. That's what it comes down to, right? I'm just saying, rocks that open up and take people. Listen, hey, what do I know? I don't know. That's why we're talking about it. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct seal services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
Pride of ownership is the ultimate goal of all homeowners. We want to help you attain that goal with new windows from Universal Windows Direct. Universal Windows Direct windows will improve the overall look and feel of your home and save you money on your energy bills. And best yet, you can put off paying for these windows for 2 years. Call us now to schedule your personal estimate and take advantage of our buy one window, get one window free, plus 0 payments and 0 interest for 2 years. Call 314-334-2522 or click now at universalwindowsdirect.com.
If you have a flooring problem and you need it solved, you got to go to Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloor.com. That's where you go to peruse all of their beautiful inventory they have available for you. But I know if you're like me, you probably want to touch, feel, and experience the flooring in person before you make a purchase, of course. They've got 3 locations for you in St. Charles County, in West County, and in Darden Prairie. You can go to any of those locations and get the very best customer service that exists in the carpeting, the flooring, the vinyl, the tile, the hardwood, all of it kind of business in St. Louis. They're the best. They offer quality, they offer value, and they offer amazing customer service. And you just got to stop by and visit. They have an amazing in-stock selection as well that you can check out on igotfloor.com. See what they have in stock, and they can give you next day estimates. That's pretty cool as well. If you are looking for a flooring solution for your home, for your business, residential or commercial, you can go to Michael's Flooring Outlet and get the very best of advice and experience online at igotfloor.com.
Diamonds Direct takes value to a whole new level with a spectacular summer store-wide sale. Get ready, it's July 21st through the 25th. 5 days of extra savings. 20% off Diamonds Direct's already unbeatable prices. A multi-million-dollar selection of rings, earrings, bands, and bracelets. Virtually everything's on sale. Plus, top jewelry designers are flying in with all new collections. The buying opportunity of the year. Extra savings store-wide. Mark your calendar. July 21st through 25th only. And only at Diamonds Direct. Olive in 270 at City Place.
Take a moment and rate your lifestyle on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is a life that's nothing like the life you were promised after getting good grades, a college degree, and a good job in corporate America. 10 is the life of your dreams. If you answered anything less than a 10, tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Tune in to the Del Walmsley Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for ThrottleNet. And if you need new IT service and you're a small business owner, or you just need better IT service, why wouldn't you check out ThrottleNet? They won Best in Customer Service from Small Business Monthly this past January, Best in Cybersecurity in Small Business Monthly in February. Ransomware has been huge, unfortunately, on the rise through the pandemic, and ThrottleNet has saved clients $2.6 million in ransom. So they protect against ransomware by providing a tool set that provides cybersecurity training for employees, identifying and quarantining an infected machine from the network, and the equipment will recover in less than 24 hours. Take advantage of a great offer. The first 30 days with ThrottleNet are free. There's no onboarding fees. If you leave in the first 30 days, ThrottleNet will pay you $1,000 for your trouble. And after the first 30 days, no contracts, they're month to month. Check out ThrottleNet online. Use the 97.1 connection, throttlenet.com/971. Throttlenet.com/971. Get started today.
I'm Eric Robert with Stifel. The economy is always changing, but what does it mean for your investments? Join me and fellow Stifel financial advisor Bob Stockdale during On the Money, Saturday mornings from 11 until noon on 97.1 FM Talk. Stifel, member NYSE and SIPC.
This is Wiggins letting you know about these new music stations that the Odyssey app has. They're hyper-focused, so if you just like traditional country or you like something as specific as British 90s rock like I do, you can download the Odyssey app and find your specific station when you're in the mood for music.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. I got a message yesterday on my Facebook page, which mine is Heidi Harris Show. A guy was insulted. He said, well, I'm a 66-year-old guy, and I hate the fact that you said some. Remember we were talking yesterday about the 66-year-old Google, what's his name, Eric Schmidt?
Oh, yes. I think we even clipped that off for you. You want to play it?
Sure. Oh, boy, here we go.
Oh, wait, he's got to replay it here.
I got it.
Hey, I'm going to give you some warning.
All right, here we go. This is from yesterday. I told Jake.
The last thing I want to see naked was a 66-year-old man.
There we go. That's the clip.
Okay, but here's when I was 27. Okay, I'm not 27 anymore. But this guy was like, "Hey, I'm insulted. I'm 66." I wasn't insulting 66-year-old men.
He's insulted that you don't want to. Never mind.
Well, but when I was 27, it was a different. I mean, come on. Anyway, people are funny, aren't they?
So are you saying now?
As I get closer to that, yes.
I didn't want to say it, but she picked
ahead,
up what I was
buddy.
putting down. I didn't.
Well,
No, it's over.
I'm not like J-Lo and these other girls who keep dating guys who are 20. It's like, come on. If you think Pablo Cruz is a travel agency, you are too young for me. Can we go with that?
I'm too young for you then, and probably so is Jake.
Stop.
Because I don't know what that is.
I don't know.
Pablo Cruz?
No, what is it? Is it Ted Cruz's son or grandpa?
Oh, God help me. I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Is it a cruise line? The Pablo Cruz.
Okay. People are laughing at you
It's
guys.
very exclusive, that cruise.
All right. Look it up. Google search Pablo Cruz. Really, guys?
The pop band?
Not so pop band?
Yeah, there's a pop band called Pablo Cruz.
They're not a pop band.
That's what comes up when you Google it. Yeah,
American
Pablo Cruz,
pop rock band
American
from San
pop
Francisco.
brand,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they're not a pop band, but yeah. Okay.
Pablo Cruz, Mexican actor. Is that right?
Okay. No. Okay. Never mind.
Okay.
You know what?
What about the boxer?
Okay, it's the band I was talking about.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
I'm just,
All right.
I can't.
We'll
all right.
cue that up for the
can we just
music.
move on here? Let's
We'll
just
take
move
you out
on.
with some Pablo Cruz.
All right. Okay. You go ahead, find some. All right. You go ahead. Love will find a way. There's the good song. All right.
Okay.
You start playing that bass line. Trust me, a lot of people know it. Okay. So speaking of, I don't know what. Speaking of, I don't know if Pablo Cruz is even from. any place
transition
that's-
from that.
Yeah, that's a tough transition. Anyway, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who, by the way, did you guys know this? He was born in Cuba. Okay. He escaped Cuba with his family. Okay.
I did not know that. I know this
Right.
story, but I did not know that.
Correct. That's the ding, 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 ding on this. Okay. So he got, these people like, I got mine. Let's put a ring around the valley or a ring around the town because we don't want growth in the town, right? There are always those people. Hey, I got mine. I'm pulling the rope up on this lifeboat. You know that deal. All those people, right? So he's here. So he says yesterday that migrants from Cuba and Haiti should not try to reach the United States because, of course, it's dangerous. Dangerous. It's not dangerous trying to get across the border down south in Arizona and Texas. Really? It's not dangerous there?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You know what it is? He doesn't want Cubans because he doesn't want people who actually appreciate the American flag. I'm not saying that Latinos from Honduras and Guatemala, I'm not saying they don't. Okay. But we know that Cubans tend to understand the difference and they tend to appreciate freedom. And they're out there marching in the streets in Havana with their flags. We don't want those people. No. Not if they appreciate the flag. Nope, they should not come here. But it just amazes me that here's a guy who got out of Cuba because he was lucky, and now he doesn't want anybody else coming here. Really? Meanwhile, they're flooding the southern border.
Unbelievable.
People with brown skin too, by the way.
The Cubans, as you know, vote Republican. So
Yep.
that's why they've helped flip Florida red. And so that's
right.
why they're saying this. It is freaking believable. I am actually pounding the table that we are so partisan and this is nakedly partisan because they have done everything they can to use our own asylum laws against us at our southern border. They have coached migrants, illegal immigrants, to use our own asylum laws against us. And then in an actual situation where we're talking about real asylum needed from Cuba to Florida, they're saying, "Don't come. We won't accept
Yeah,
you."
don't even bother trying to get here because it's dangerous, and then we're not going to take you and this and that. Meanwhile, you've got a lot of people flooding the borders who think it's all about free stuff here. There's a difference, a lot, and I'm not saying everybody from Guatemala and Honduras and those places thinks that. I'm not saying that, but there are a whole lot of people who believe if they get here, they're going to get a free ride. They are. They're going to have you vote Democrat. They're going to give you welfare. They're going to put your kids in school for free. They're going to do all these things. That's exactly right. Because a lot of these people, that's all they want. Hey, I want a free ride. Let me know where I can get one, please. I'll get in line. I'll take a free ride. But that's the whole point. I mean, it just goes to show the attitude of the Biden administration. Oh, we don't want Cubans. Not those people. They might vote Republican. Oh, no. Unbelievable.
There's something real happening in Cuba right now. I hope it lasts because they keep saying, we talked to Jim Carafano, I think, last week about this, and he said they've got a huge police and military force, I think, basically ready for this kind of thing because they knew it was going to happen at some point.
Right.
But it continues. We can't get much reporting on the ground because they've shut down all of their social media and internet. But I do think that this has legs, at least for now.
Yeah, I hope so. You know, it usually takes, it's not like you can happen the first day. Certainly our country wasn't founded on freedom the first day. There were people who wanted to come for a long period of time, and a lot of persecution was put on them for a very long period of time before they were able to get over here and start America. So we understand that it's not a simple thing to do, but you have to have the will of the people who are willing to fight for this, who are willing to push back on tyranny. But the idea that these people are marching with the American flag. Meanwhile, we'll have people coming here in America who will march up and down the street with a Mexican flag. And I don't hate Mexicans. Okay, it's not that. But I'm talking that flag I've seen in marches. Excuse me. Go down there if that's what you think. Because this is America. We welcome everybody here illegally. I have no problem. We're all from someplace. I get that. But if you're marching with any other flag other than the American flag in America, you need to go back to where that flag represents. That's what you need to do. And you got people in Cuba with the American flag. I mean, I'm furious about this. And we don't want those people here, but we want people who will come to America and march up and down the streets with some union crap. And I'm not anti-union, but you know what I'm talking about. The unions get a hold of these people. Put that Mexican flag up. Mexican flag. And I'm not against Cinco de Mayo or anything like that. I don't care where you came from. We're all from someplace. I get it. But this is America. We're supposed to be Americans now. Let's make a swap. Let's bring all the people in from Cuba who are marching with the American flag after we make sure they're healthy and all that. And then we'll send all of the people who are taking flags off people's lawns and stomping on them. All those people, we'll send them on over. How about that? I love it. It's a great swap.
Yeah, it's amazing how difficult it's been for the administration and anybody in the current administration to just say how much we value freedom and we value what they're trying to do to gain freedom.
Do it.
Because
they can't do it.
Their policies and their ideology is so close to communist Cuba that they're having trouble separating the two, even though they know it's unpopular to do so.
That's right. They want power. They don't care what happens to anybody because they will always have theirs and they will always have security. And they don't care about how much chaos is caused in America because they want power. That's what it comes down to. There's no human being with half a brain cell who wants and it is a human crisis on the borders. It's a human crisis. Nobody wants that if you care about human beings. If you care about children disappearing into God knows where, coming across the border, being dragged by people who aren't related to them and disappearing into America to be who knows what will happen to them. Nobody who cares about children is okay with that, except the people who benefit from the chaos. There's always that group of people, they benefit, and they have theirs. They've got their walls, they've got their security, they've got their money, they've got everything. They don't care about the teeming masses. They don't care. They don't care about the huddled masses yearning to freeload. They don't care because it's not their money. It's your money and my money, your jobs and my jobs that are at stake. That's the whole bottom line. It makes me furious. All right, I don't want to get too upset, but I will. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey. So don't be blaming anything I say on Annie Frey, okay? I don't want you to do that. You and me are all our friends. Such a happy human race.
You want to retire soon, but everyone keeps telling you to wait until you're 65. After all, that's the age that you qualify for Medicare and you're close to full retirement age. I'm Marvin Mitchell, president of Compass Retirement Solutions. In my new book, Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65, I discuss proper planning to help make early retirement possible. When to take Social Security, what to do with your 401k, healthcare, how to maximize retirement income, and much more. Get a complimentary copy of Retire Early by calling 1-800-743-8510. That's 1-800-743-8510. Can you retire early? Call 1-800-743-8510 for your copy of Retire Early, the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65.
Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois. Compass Retirement Solutions is not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.
If you're looking for the specialists in James Hardie Siding, if you want the people who know how to put this amazing, beautiful, fantastic, top-of-the-line product in the right way, it's very necessary to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. There's a lot of people out there who can put James Hardie Siding up, but when you want the very best, because you're investing a lot of money in this product and project, you want to go with Lakeside Renovation and Design, the people who offer a lifetime workmanship warranty on top of a manufacturer's warranty, guaranteeing you the very best in customer service and in customer satisfaction. 636-978-5000. That's 636-978-5000. That's the number to call to connect with Lakeside Renovation and Design right now and get a part of the most trusted name in full-scale remodels in St. Louis. 636-978-5000. Call them today and get your project started. Also, infinity window replacement or custom front entry doorways. It's all there at Lakeside. Online at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com.
Price, Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can pay you cash and close in as little as 5 days. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is your most trusted home buyer. We buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location in the St. Louis metro. Call 314-782-5000. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis buys inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses, and even those my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis today. Vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis at 314-782-5000. That's 314-782-5000. 314-782-5000.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
COVID makes a comeback. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. It's a global rise in case numbers and deaths blamed largely on the Delta variant. Britain topping 40,000 new cases in a single day for the first time in 6 months.
The Delta variant poses a threat to Americans of all ages.
But White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki says it's hitting more young people since so many of the elderly and most vulnerable have already been vaccinated. Singer and actress Olivia Rodrigo lending her voice to the vaccination campaign.
It's important to have conversations with friends and family members, encouraging all communities to get vaccinated and actually get to a vaccination site, which you can do more easily than ever before.
She's visiting the White House to meet with the president and Dr. Fauci and make a video encouraging more young people to get a shot. More than 2 million Americans signing up for Obamacare during a special enrollment period opened by President Biden during the pandemic. A new government report just released. The enrollment ends August 15th. Problems at the collapsed condo building in Florida may have been known much sooner than first thought, based on documents from nearly 2 decades ago.
Engineers reviewing the collapse of the Champlain South Tower have identified the building's pool deck as perhaps a cause of the catastrophic collapse on June 24th. The Miami Herald newspaper reports that renovation plans from 1996 show that pool deck, which also serves as a roof to the building's parking garage, had more than 500 feet of cracks needing filling and a 20-square-foot section needing replacement. A follow-up inspection from 2018 asserts the building had fundamental design flaws and that the repair jobs were insufficient.
Fox's Evan Brown, the collapse has killed at least 95 people. Residents of a 2-story apartment building that's more than 80 years old in nearby Miami Beach have been ordered to evacuate because of concrete deterioration. America is listening to Fox News.
Ad paid for by MaxPace Marketing. Attention! If you've had hernia surgery and have experienced complications such as chronic pain, infection, wound reopening, mesh migration, bowel obstruction, need revision surgery, or other complications, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Hernia repair surgery is common and requires a mesh product to be implanted inside your body. In May of 2016, the manufacturer of a popular hernia mesh product issued a mandatory global recall due to product defects. If you've had hernia surgery and have experienced complications, you may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Call the Hernia Mesh Helpline now at 800-561-5992. Our experienced attorneys will fight to get you the compensation you deserve. You pay nothing unless we get a recovery in your favor. Time is limited to file a claim, so call the Hernia Mesh Helpline now, 800-561-5992. Operators are standing by 24/7. Call 800-561-5992. That's 800-561-5992.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Sunshine controls the rest of the afternoon with a little uptick in temperatures and humidity, but for the middle of summer, not bad at all. We'll be hanging around 90 degrees. Tonight, clear skies, 80s for evening plans, 74 for a warm overnight low. Thursday, partly sunny, hot and humid, 94, but an increase in rain and thunderstorms late Thursday night and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Well, there's a lot of things I'm trying to communicate to you when I talk about Fountains Family Dentistry, Dr. Ty Parker in Fairview Heights, Illinois. But the main thing, there's a lot of things. This is Ryan, by the way. But the main thing is convenience. Because yes, they're state of the art. Yes, they're super nice. Yes, they're going to give you the best treatment around. But all of those things are things that are secondary to me anyway when I'm trying to choose a dentist, because I'm trying to just fit it into my schedule. So they're going to do everything possible to make it as convenient for you as they can, including staying late some nights. Depending on your schedule, you can go as late as 6:30, 7 o'clock at night they're there, or early some days. It depends on the day. But if you call them, they'll be able to tell you all that, and they're able to work with your insurance, or if you don't have insurance, they've got new patient specials. All of this is just to be convenient for you, and they're conveniently located in Fairview Heights, right off of Highway 64 on 159. So give them a call. You can get their phone number, or you can actually just make an appointment right there at fountainsfamilydentistry.com. Again, you can call them there by getting their phone number at fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Planning to chill out this summer? Ameren Missouri is offering up to $900 back when you purchase a qualifying HVAC system. So keep the heat where it belongs, on the grill. Find terms at participating contractors at AmerenMissouriSavings.com/HVAC.
It's barbecue season, and you know what that means. Sticky fingers, falling utensils, and spilled sauces that make their way into your home. Call my friends at Zero Res. Take advantage of the 3-room special starting at just $129. Call 474-2020 and make sure to mention the Mark Reardon special.
Hi, this is Curtis Barks. I am the owner of Complete Auto Body and Repair, here to tell you about our touchless automotive service. If you're experiencing the constant struggles of having the kids home from school, or just want more of that family time where you can listen to them teach you about what they do every day, we provide touchless automotive service, return the vehicle to you clean and ready to go in the comfort of your own home. Check us out online at CompleteAB.com for more information. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixed the cars.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service. If your trees are looking sick or if you have insects that aren't welcome in your landscape, Hansen's can help. Our plant healthcare program offers tree and shrub fertilization as well as pest management to maintain a great-looking landscape. Check us out at hansenstree.com.
Small business owners know cutting costs without cutting quality is tough. How do you trim expenses without hurting your business? Easy. Get Spectrum Business. Call 888-489-2212. Switch to Spectrum Business and you can get the best internet and phone services for half of what you're paying today. Cutting costs can be easy when you get Spectrum Business. Just call 888-489-2212. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Hurry in to get the camper of your dreams before it's gone. At Coleman's Campers, our knowledgeable staff will be happy to help you find the right camper. If we don't have the camper you want, we'll gladly order your dream camper for you. Coleman's Campers in Hartford, Illinois, where customers become friends.
Download the Odyssey app to discover hundreds of new exclusive music stations available now. For music fans, by music fans. Music stations specific to your taste, now available through the Odyssey app. It's all at Odyssey.com. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Jake here, holding down the fort. Happy afternoon. Hope everybody's having a great one. There's a new poll out that shows why some people who are vaccine hesitant apparently decided to get the COVID-19 shot. Do you guys know anybody who maybe was I'm not even going to use the word vaccine hesitant because I don't even like that, or anti-vaxxer, but people who had some questions. How about that? Vaccine questioning a couple months ago, maybe suddenly have changed their minds. Anybody?
Yeah, I do. I know a couple.
Who was that?
They're in my family, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know people that question it that certainly haven't changed their minds. Also, some in family, some not.
So you know some people who have not changed their minds, right? And you know some people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, in both categories.
Anybody that I know that was questioning or hesitant seemed pretty firm on their ideals. I don't know if they're the kind of people that change their minds on that.
Well, yeah, because people like me who were hesitant from day one, I remember that President Trump was in charge when this whole thing started. Okay. And I support President Trump. I voted for him twice. That didn't matter to me. I wasn't taking my opinion, not taking some rush to market thing and have no idea what's in this thing. No way. And that has not changed. I didn't suddenly change my mind because Biden's the president, but then there were people who, they didn't like it when Trump was like even Kamala Harris was talking about that when Trump was president. All of a sudden Biden's president. Oh yeah, it's safe now. Oh really?
You know what's funny is that I think the other day we were talking about this Monday maybe, and then Monday afternoon, I actually had a doctor's appointment, so I went to the doctor and was asking him. Now he's a great doctor. Yeah.
Here it comes.
He's a great doctor, respiratory guy, so he knows that world. Doesn't know the virology world as much or the contagious.
Oh, they all know everything.
But
come on, doctors.
He was willing to admit this. We had a very, very respectful conversation about it. And I asked him a lot of questions about, look, what if you've already had COVID? What if you have the antibodies and you get tested for the antibodies? He was skeptical of things that I've never heard anybody be skeptical of, but I respect his opinion. He was saying, what? I'm not sure about the efficacy of the antibody tests. He wasn't questioning antibodies themselves. Right. He was just questioning the tests. And I said, well, that's a question I've never heard. So I had to defer to him on his expertise on that. But I did get one question in that I was like, you didn't answer my question there, though. He had to smile a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a professional. Don't try to slide this one by me, doctor. I know how to get questions.
You know what I do, right? So he said, yeah, I do. And so the question was, what about people getting the disease worse the second time? And he had to admit to me, first of all, he said, there's not really much evidence that people get it a second time at all.
Huh?
And he said, but it's really we're only a year into this thing. So he had to put that on it. And so we talked about it again. And I said, but again, let's go back to this now. I've had COVID. You're telling me that the chance of me getting it again, at least according to your data, is incredibly slim. And if I do, it's not going to be worse. He had to admit that. So when you know your stuff, you can talk to people and get more information, because that's all I was doing.
Right.
Was just, I wanted to mine the guy for information. He's not on the same ideological side of things as I am, obviously, but there are things that they have to agree on once you press them.
Right. Was he trying to press you to get a vaccine?
He was. Yeah.
After you've already had COVID. Did you ask him how in the history of medicine, how that makes any sense when you've already had something that you would suddenly get a vaccine to prevent you from getting it?
In more or less words, yes. I didn't come out like swinging like that. I was trying to have a pretty respectful conversation with him.
Well, it depends on whether you had a needle close to me. If you got something that could hurt me near me, I'm not going to be that argumentative.
They had planned on me getting a vaccine because the lady walked in and he goes, no, you can go away. Like,
you said you can back off, sister.
Okay.
You back off, sister.
But
you can just go right out of here with that thing.
Well, here's the other interesting thing. I mean, we didn't plan on talking about this topic right here, but now that we're on it, the thing that struck me that when he was talking to me was, and maybe it's because we talk about it every day. And we're knee deep or neck deep in the research much more than anybody else can be. Although at this point, gosh, everybody's an expert. Everybody's researching this like crazy and has been for 18 months.
Oh, everybody's an epidemiologist on Facebook. Of course they are.
Exactly.
A virologist. Everybody's an expert, right? They were all experts during the election, about election. Yeah, of course.
Well, that's why we liked having Dr. Kelly Victory with you on a couple weeks ago.
And she'll be on next week,
and she'll
back
be
again
on
with
again
us.
next week, because you can hear the other side of the story. And Dr. Hardiman, who we have here all year, we had him on for 12 months, and he was just a medicine guy. I mean, he just talked about the disease. He didn't talk about the politics of it, because we want to get the full story. But that seems like that's not what's happening in the mainstream. You get one side of the story, and you are told you better believe this, or you will be censored and kicked off of every platform available for you to talk to anybody about it.
That's correct. I had a conversation with a relative about that last night, who was upset because some of her elderly friends, I guess they're elderly. They're over 70. They don't seem old to me. They seem very young and doing all kinds of things. They're not getting, I just found out that so-and-so and so-and-so don't have the vaccine. So you have the vaccine, right? You good? Well, yeah, but no, I'm asking you, do you go to thrift stores? Do you go to Walmart? Then what are you worried about? Your friends don't have the vax. You have no idea what these people at thrift stores or Walmart or anything else have, diseases they could have, whatever, who knows, Ebola, who knows. And you're vaccinated. I mean, that's another thing. You're vaccinated. Why are you worried about somebody else being vaccinated? If this thing really works, well, but see, when you talk to people about that, they don't have a logical argument. They just don't, because I'm scared. Fear is so powerful. I'll tell you what, if one thing we learned over the last year, if there's one thing, it's the fact that fear is overwhelmingly powerful.
It is very powerful, and it can cloud your judgment on basically anything. And it's hard, because there are people who make those decisions who are basing them on fear. There are big businesses, and I've read that there are businesses in St. Louis. Some people have been tweeting me today, actually, that some of the healthcare places in St. Louis, I don't know if I should mention them or not, but I think there's only a couple. They're requiring all their employees to get vaccinated now, and there's a big fight happening, because there are people even within those institutions who are saying, look, like you and me, Heidi, either I've had COVID or I don't want to get the vaccine. Why can't you let me have that freedom?
Right. I know. Well, they don't want to do that. There's a story in CNN about how about 1/5 of Americans were initially hesitant about or squarely against getting the COVID-19 vaccine. This is according to Kaiser. They did some polling. And they said most people who'd made firm decisions one way or the other, to your point, Jake, had not budged since. Okay. They said of those who were unvaccinated at the start of the year, only 8% who changed their minds, had changed their minds. Most of them just said, no, we're not going to do this. But of those who decided to get the vaccine after being initially less than certain, roughly half said they'd been persuaded by something they'd learned or heard, and 36% said they'd been persuaded by somebody they talked to. And I know some people who waited to see how it was going to go with other folks, and then they went, oh, okay, everybody's not dropping dead in the chair, so we'll do this, right? So there are other people who've looked at that and said, this is okay. But still, a lot of people are saying, no. Reassurance and recommendations from doctors and healthcare providers also played a role. But I mean, the thing is, guys, there aren't that many doctors out there that I've heard of who are telling you in the office, you don't need this. You don't need this. I don't know if they've gotten financial incentives to do this, or they really feel like you need to, or they need to say this. I truly don't know what the motivation is.
I think it's just part of the culture. I think that's part of the industry that they're in. That's all they talk to. They're not going to, they're not listening to us in the middle of the day. They're not going to talk to the doctors who are outside, like Kelly Victory. She's part of a network. I mean, you can fill me in exactly on this. She's part of a network that's not part of kind of the big guys, right?
Right. Well, and yeah, they've tried to silence her for daring to speak out. And she's, by the way, she'll be on with us again Tuesday, Dr. Kelly Victory. She's amazing. You can follow her on Twitter, Dr. Kelly Victory. It's spelled just like it sounds. But she has been bold enough to say, look, she's not anti-vaccine at all. Under any circumstances is she anti-vaccine. It's just this one she has problems with, because a lot of people don't even consider this a vaccine. But 56.2% of Americans 12 and older have been fully vaccinated as of this last Monday.
But she's not their colleague, is my point. She's
right.
She's not. She's off. Right. She's on her own. She's got her own business, and she's not part of these sort of mega monolith things that when they're creating kind of echo chambers, like we talked about in major cities and media and things.
That's part of it too. You're right about that, because there are a lot of people who are terrified if they work for, I don't want to mention a name, so I don't want to, because I don't want to disparage anybody, but there are some really big ones in the St. Louis area, Illinois, big ones. We all know the names of them. Okay. And if you work in that particular system, if you're a doctor in that system, that's where you get your paycheck, and you dare not speak out. You dare not say, I'm not going to do this. I had a situation a while back where I spoke out on some socially conservative issues, and my husband ran into a pastor of a huge church, and the pastor was at an event, and I was there, and he goes, I really admire your wife. I agree with what she said, but if I say that, I'll lose my pension.
Yep.
That's what he said. Wow. Really? A pastor is afraid to speak out on a socially conservative issue because not because he thinks I'm wrong. He knows I'm right biblically, but because he's afraid of losing his pension. So how many doctors are there out there like that who are terrified of losing, because a lot of doctors aren't making it as sole practitioners anymore, right? So they join some kind of a group for whatever reason, and they're terrified. You're right. You're right, Ryan. That's a huge factor for a lot of people.
But if you know your stuff, and I mean know your stuff, not you're going to go to them and say, look, I've become magnetic and, 5G is tracing me and stuff. Like, you've got to be able to know what you're talking about to talk to people. And then when you press them, they have to admit that you have facts that they're not sharing. And I was glad to be able to do that on Monday. He had some things to share with me that I was willing to listen to. And I think he reciprocated just because I've read so many darn things. But, this, and real talk, this exists across every industry. This isn't just medicine. Every industry
of course.
is like this to a degree. Heidi, you probably know this. And I thank God that I don't have to say this about our company, because then you'd put in a really tough spot. But I know people in the radio industry who work for other companies who they were told specifically after November 3rd, do not talk about election integrity.
Oh, absolutely. There have been people told that, right. Don't talk about it. Don't know the big lie and all. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
right.
These are conservative radio stations.
I know.
I was about to ask what kind of radio
it's
stations?
not. This isn't NPR.
Right.
I mean, this is conservative radio that the big wigs put out a memo top down. You cannot talk about this issue, or if you do, talk about the fact that the election was safe. That's not this company, but there are companies that have done that.
Absolutely right. And so the idea that somebody's wearing a white coat and they have complete integrity, whatever happened to the old idea of getting a second opinion? I mean, if somebody went to one doctor and they said, hey, you need to get this part out. I went to a doctor a while back. They wanted to take something out, and it turned out it wasn't at all necessary. I got a second opinion from somebody. And what? She said, what? They want to do what? Right. It wasn't necessary. But the point is, you've got to get a second opinion. That used to be a normal thing, to get a second opinion. You can't get two dentists to agree. Is that tooth okay? Yeah, maybe you got to pull it. Maybe it could stay a little while. You never know. But now at a doctor, it's expected that every doctor is going to tell you to get the jab, get the jab, get the jab. But I already had COVID. I don't care. Get the jab. Well, what medical sense does that? Doesn't matter. Get the jab.
Yeah.
It's crazy land. Because, but whatever happened to my body, my choice. But everybody's got a different situation medically. That's what it comes down to. And I mean, I know I had antibodies. I got hit so hard by COVID. I know you've got antibodies. But to the point that your doctor made about antibodies, I went to get a test on that months back, and my insurance company said, we're not going to pay for that. We don't think those tests are that accurate. I'm not saying they're not. That's what my insurance company said. They said, you can go get it at your own expense. And I didn't really care, because I was going to do it to go back to work. And I said, no, who cares? I don't really care that much about it. I know you had a test, right? And your antibodies were off the charts, right?
It was
Brian?
actually my wife. I'm waiting a month or so because she got hers back and we had COVID at the same time. Not that we're the same person, but I figure if she's giving us any indication, we're still fine, because hers were off the charts. Hers were.
But that's the whole thing. I mean, it makes sense that once you've had COVID, you certainly have some kind of immunity, that if you were exposed to it again, and who knows, I had COVID over a year ago. Who knows how many times since then I've been exposed to it. My body went, oh, no. I recognize you. You can just see your way right on out.
Yeah, that's what most viruses do. You get them once, and then you probably never get them again, or if they mutate, you get a lesser version of it, which is what colds do. We've named this one because it was worse, but now as it mutates down, it's going to become more and more like just a cold. It really will, and that's
for a lot of people.
That's where it's getting.
It's going to be. It's I don't get it. I don't. Once again, I'm not telling anybody to get it or not get it, but the idea, you ought to ask questions. If anyone who dares to go, excuse me, can I just ask a question here? No, silence, canceled. Anybody who's literally silenced because they dare to ask a question, that ought to concern you, because I don't care what we're talking about, music, radio, medicine, whatever it might be. There's always going to be somebody with a different opinion. Legal, you go to one lawyer tells you one thing, one lawyer tells you another thing. I mean, there's always been room for multiple opinions in this world. And you look at all the information. One friend says, divorce bomb. The other friend says, hey, no, I think you can work on this. There's always a difference of opinion. You've got to look at all the information and make the best decision for yourself. But nowadays, it's virtually impossible to find a dissenting view. And that's what should scare everybody, as far as I'm concerned. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey. Coming up, we're going to talk about how 1.8 million Americans who are out of work have turned down jobs because of the generosity of unemployment. What? This is my shocked face. We'll get to that next on the Annie Frey Show.
And I hope you know.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Have you been putting off life insurance for a while? With the long application process, medical exams, and blood tests, it's no wonder you put it off. It can seem so confusing, expensive, and time-consuming. But Ethos is a new kind of life insurance. Ethos is built with you in mind. Instead of a medical exam, you only have to answer a few health questions. Our application is 100% online and can be done in about 10 minutes. You might even get same-day coverage. At Ethos, we match you with the right policy and the right price for you from top-rated carriers, with no medical exams and no blood tests. Now you can spend less time sorting through confusing paperwork and more time with the loved ones you want to protect. Go to ethoslife.com today to apply in minutes. That's ethoslife.com. Ethos Technologies, Inc. operates in California as Ethos Life Insurance Services. Not available in all states, and price is subject to underwriting and certain health questions.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
The Martins came over, we were having spaghetti when we suddenly noticed that we started getting sweaty. So we grabbed the keys and we ate it in the van. That's what my friend said, call Jerry Kelly, man, JerryKelly.com. Give him a call even though it's late, JerryKelly.com. Cause Jerry Kelly's always open up until late. They're certified technicians, I've been told, will help you when it's hot and help you when it's cold, JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on, JerryKelly.com.
The race for the Missouri Senate seat's already heating up. Mark Cox here. Join me in person Thursday, July 15th at 18th North Central as we kick off our Decision 2022 coverage. I'll talk to each candidate one-on-one. First up, former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. We'll hear what impact he thinks he can make in the Senate. A conversation with Eric Greitens July 15th. The doors open at 6. It is free and open to the public. 18 North Central is located at 18 North Central Drive, O'Fallon, Missouri.
In selling a home, luxury is not a price point. It's an experience. And with Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty, everyone gets the same marketing that sells more homes over $400,000 in the St. Louis area than any other team. Would you like to sell your home, but you're worried about finding your next home? Well, the Gelmans have a program to buy your new home before you even list your current home. Currently, we know there's not a lot of houses on the market, so houses are selling fast. A lot of times, tens of thousands over a list. Here's a success story. Scott and Sue relocating out of state. They needed a quick sale of their beautiful home in Chesterfield in the Stonebriar Wild Horse Meadows subdivision. In Mark and Neil's coming soon phase, their $600,000 home sold for over the list price. That expedited Scott and Sue's move out of state. Just one great example. Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty can absolutely help you. Ask them about their buy before you sell program. Check them out today at thegelmanteam.com or call 314-336-1991. The Gelman Team at thegelmanteam.com. Certain restrictions apply.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
On 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Air Comfort Service. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Did you know that Chicago gang members outnumber the cops 10-1? Now, you're an Illinois guy, Ryan. Are you surprised at this?
Yeah, I am actually. That number even surprises me.
That's unbelievable. Jeff Monosso's here from Fox News Radio. He's got the details. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing well. Always good to be with you.
I'm just amazed. 10-1? They outnumber cops 10-1?
Yeah, there's a report that shows that 117,000 gang members are apparently alive and well in the city of Chicago versus the city's about 13,000 police officers. So that's about 10-1. Though the thing is, though, it's not necessarily unusual. I mean, most major cities, major urban areas, there are tens of thousands of gang members from hundreds of various different gangs. What is unusual is the rate at which Chicago cops are calling it quits. I mean, the number of officers leaving the force, retiring this year, has surpassed all retirements in 2018, and they're on track for the highest number in the department's history. So that 10-1 ratio may actually go up. Figures from the Police Pension Board shows that between January and June, some 363 officers quit. Another almost 60 are expected to retire this month. Similar in other cities, Minneapolis losing well over 200, almost 300 officers, and amid a nationwide call, or at least calls nationwide to defund police, and all directly tied to a rise in crime.
It's unbelievable. So with Jeff Monosso from Fox News Radio, he's calling us live from Chicago, where the gang members outnumber cops 10-1. You know what's sad, Jeff? It's not only obviously defunding the cops is part of it, but when you feel as if the administration, the mayor, council people, aldermen, whoever it may be, you feel like they don't have your back. That's just as disheartening as the money. I mean, you do anything wrong and you're going to be punished for it. They're always going to take the other side. That's really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's a blame game. There's the politics of it. You know, people in Chicago are totally losing trust in leadership of Mayor Lori Lightfoot, as well as other city officials, and their ability to protect residents. Even Democratic Chicago aldermen are criticizing Lightfoot's response to the violence. She calls her critics racist and sexist, saying that her focus is largely on stopping gun trafficking, which she blames for bringing illegal weapons into the city. And obviously that's a problem in Chicago. Has some of the toughest gun laws on the books. We heard from the police superintendent, David Brown, yesterday during a press conference, and like his predecessors, he's called out city prosecutors for being soft on crime. Repeat felons. I mean, not just 2 or 3 crimes. We're talking about dozens and dozens of crimes. Repeat felons. They commit a crime. They're released on electronic monitoring, and they commit another crime while they're released, and they're released again. They're arrested and released again. And so it's an issue. The federal government is promising help for the city. Mayor Lightfoot's begging for it. Under the previous administration, she told the president to stay out of her city. I'm going to tell you this. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. 144 people were shot in the city of Chicago in the past 2 weekends. 30 murdered in the city of Chicago. And in just the last 2 weekends alone, the latest, a little boy was standing on his in front of his home on the city's west side last night, and he was shot in the leg. His father shot in the face after a car pulled up. Somebody got out and opened fire. But That's a daily occurrence in parts of the city of Chicago. And the story that when you look at the violence in the city of Chicago, you think just about the crime, the violence, the people who are doing it, but you got to think about the 85% of the people who live in these neighborhoods. They just want to work. They want to raise their kids. They want to sit outside and have a barbecue in the backyard, watch their kids play, but they can't do that. So there's a huge portion of the city of Chicago that really is, they're being held hostage, and they can't be free until this crime wave, this crime surge, the crime problem is dealt with.
Jeff Monosso from Fox News Radio is live from Chicago on the phone with us. This is a problem that you'd hope that we could kind of leave the partisan bickering at the door, but it is entirely a political problem. So there are political solutions needed. You mentioned that the federal government is now sending in some sort of strike force or something. Is this just patchwork to replace the police that have left? And do you expect to see any, or do Chicagoans, I should say, expect to see any changes from this?
I don't think Chicagoans expect much at this point. I mean, they're hopeful. President Joe Biden has sent that what we're told is a strike force. It involves different agencies to help crack down on guns and crime in the city, not just Chicago, but other cities. San Francisco, that's allowing people to steal whatever they want to steal from stores. I know Walgreens and other chains are saying we can't operate like this anymore. So they're closing up shop, many stores in those cities. But again, the bottom line is that Chicago has some of the toughest gun laws in the books. Criminals no longer fear police. No one wants to be a cop anymore because it's not worth it. Cops, who are recruited in on the beat, it's difficult to do their jobs these days. I mean, for example, foot chases are either limited or banned in the city of Chicago now. In suburban Minneapolis, officers no longer are able to pull over cars for expired tags. And again, in San Francisco, you steal stuff. It's not worth the city's time to arrest you. And so people are taking advantage of that. And so, politics is playing. I mean, politics is omnipresent. No matter what happens, it just seems to divert to politics, which is just sickening and maddening. I think to most people, no matter what your ideology is, it's a pretty pragmatic issue, crime, and people want it dealt with.
Yeah,
but it's not.
We're speaking with Jeff Monosso from Fox News Radio. He's live in Chicago talking about how gang members outnumber the cops 10-1. Lori Lightfoot, I'm so bored with the girl card. They're after me because I'm a female. Can I just say, as a female, I'm bored with that. Maybe you're just ineffective. How about that? Or the race card or this or that. I mean, I just get so bored. They want to blame everything other than actually taking action. And as you mentioned, there's a revolving door. People are in, they go in, they get, booked, whatever, they're out the next day. There's no will to actually put these people in jail and keep them there, certainly until their trials. Nobody wants to do it.
Yeah.
That's a huge factor.
Yeah, right. I mean, and there's no will for the Lightfoot administration to talk to reporters, particularly white reporters like me, because that's her new policy now. She will only speak to African American or reporters of color, and so there's actually a lawsuit against Lightfoot on behalf of the press that you can't pick and choose who you talk to based on race. I mean, that, after all, some would say is racist.
That's unbelievable. Can you imagine Donald Trump saying that when he was president? I'm only going to talk to white people who like me. That's it. Yeah. Those are the only people I'm going to talk to. Can you even imagine that flying?
It's a different time, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff Monosso, Fox News Radio from Chicago. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it.
You bet.
Yeah, it's pretty discouraging, isn't it, Ryan? I mean, you're an Illinois guy, and I know you're not in Chicago, but it's just depressing. I mean, if you're a cop, why would you even want to be a cop? God bless them. I respect them so much. Why would you want to be a cop? Between the defunding and all the problems, and the main thing is nobody has your back. Not the aldermen, not the city, the leaders, the mayors, not the president doesn't have your back. Obama didn't have the cops' backs. I mean, it's just crazy land.
Yeah, the trickle-down effect too. We've talked about it many times, but it's happening. This is all stuff that we kept saying, this is what's going to happen. And now It's actually happening. You just let it devolve into anarchy, or then apparently you have to send in the DOJ and the AFT or ATF, I should say, and whoever from the federal government to replace the local cops who are leaving in record numbers. They're all retiring as fast as they possibly can because they want to have their future secured. But if they, in the past, you'd work as long as you could to get your pension as high as you could.
That's
well,
right.
now they hit that pension point and they are out. Or
I've got friends who are counting the days. I've got friends who
Yeah.
are cops who are counting the days till they're done, maybe 5 years or something like that. They're literally counting, and they love being cops, but they don't love all the other stuff that is associated with it anymore.
or they're moving to the suburbs, or they're moving to more rural areas where people will support the cops because they know. I mean, why would anybody want to live in that environment, work in that environment every day? Not just the city environment, but the lack of support.
That's the problem.
That's the sign of a failing company, basically. If you feel like you
absolutely
have no support from the top, or sometimes from the bottom, if you have employees that just won't do what they're doing, you get discouraged. And that's the nationwide police right now. That's a terrible place to be.
Right. We've all been there where we worked at, feel like the people have your back. But, to your point, I have police officer friends who have purposely chosen to work in the so-called tougher neighborhoods because they know there are a lot of great people there who really need the cops, who care about the cops, who want their protection. And they have a heart for those kind of neighborhoods, and they go in there and they prefer those kind of neighborhoods as opposed to the fancy schmancy ones. Everybody's walking their golden retrievers and not having the problems. They want to work in the tougher areas, but if they can't get any backing from the people who are supposed to be backing the cops, it's not even. Obviously, it's some of the public, but a lot of it's the leadership, much more so than a lot of the constituents who live in these tough neighborhoods who are appreciative when the cops drive by.
And what ends up having to happen, that we've talked about, the trickle down effect that's starting to happen now, is that you end up having to lower the bar more and more for
That's right.
who you can accept as a police officer. So you're not going to get the absolute cream of the crop anymore. You're going to get whatever you can take. Well, what does that do to your police force? Well, generally, we're criticizing the police so much, but then we're trying to also take away their training and their funding. And so you're not going to have people who are going to respond as well in those situations. We're going to keep, it's a cycle. You're just going to keep blaming them worse, taking away more and more from them until the cities are just going to implode.
Well, it's like any other business. You run all the good people off, then who are you left with? You're much less picky about the next crop of people you take when you don't treat people well and you run them out of there. They have options. A lot of these cops will go to smaller towns or places where the cops are appreciated, because many, law enforcement to a large extent, for many people I know, it's a calling. It really is a calling to try to help their nation, their neighborhood, the people they know, even if they're not working in the neighborhood they live in. They really want to help people. That's why they do what they do. And when they feel like they can't do it, they arrest somebody on Friday night, and Monday you go back to work. Monday, there they are again, back right out, revolving door, boom, boom. They're smirking at you, arms folded across their chest like, nah. Had a nice time there for like an hour, and I got bailed out, and here I am again doing the same thing.
It does look to me as if the politicians that have been pulling these strings are starting to come to their senses, not because they're good people, but because they realize how bad it's polling, that their own.
That's I was just going to say,
Yes.
Bingo. That's exactly right.
And so they're starting to address the problem, like with this federal strike force going into cities. That's not the solution, but at least they're starting to talk about addressing it, even if they're doing it under the guise of these sort of partisan means. I'm encouraged to see that this is a losing battle for them.
Yeah. Well, maybe they should pass some gun laws in Chicago. Oh, wait.
Yes.
Maybe they should enforce the gun laws. How about that? Unbelievable. I'm Heidi Harris, in for Annie Frey. Coming up, we're going to talk about that Royal Caribbean. They've now been cleared of wrongdoing. Remember the grandfather who dropped his little granddaughter out of that window? Oof. That was a crazy story. Now they've been cleared. We'll get to details on that coming up next, right here on the Annie Frey Show.
Started young, it's too late to quit. Most call it a bad
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for their honor flight today at gsLhonorflight.org. And for free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Hi, it's Michael Mohan with Community Mortgage. Interest rates are still at historic lows. If you have not taken advantage of today's low rates, what are you waiting for? Whether your goal this year is to refinance to a shorter term, cash out to pay off debt, or maybe remodel your home, maybe purchase your first or even your fifth home, our low rates will save you money. I'm here in St. Louis and want to put my local market experience to work for you. Whether purchasing or refinancing, my goal is to help you save money on your home loan. And when you call, don't be surprised when I answer the phone. Call me today, Michael Mohan, 314-336-6050, 314-336-6050, 314-336-6050, or online at communitymortgagestl.com.
Community Mortgage LLC, 224-143, NMLS 250353.
Hey, this is Ryan. I talk about the world famous Andrea's steak sauce all the time, and you might think, I'm sure he's just close with him, which I am. I love the family, the Andreas family, right there in Fairview Heights on the Illinois side, like I am. But listen, this is a national news organization that has now reviewed Andrea's sauce and says it's among the top 10 in the world for making meat. Not just sauces, but anything to put on any meat to make it better. They just got ranked. I don't even want to tell you who it is. Okay. It was CNN. So let's listen to CNN just on this one. Here's the review. This is national news here. This is from just across the river in St. Louis, Illinois, they say to their national audience, and is sometimes confused with steak sauces that are used to dip the cooked steak in order to mask the flavor of subpar beef. But that's not what Andrea's is all about. It's a marinade and basting sauce that I've been using now for close to 3 decades. That's a review that is now nationally ranked on CNN.com. So let's just trust him for this moment and then move on from CNN. But hey, Andrea's is made right here. It is world famous. Check it out for yourself. Andreas.com.
If you thought Diamonds Direct's values were impressive, wait till you see what we're doing next. It's a spectacular summer store-wide sale, July 21st through 25th, with an extra 20% savings on virtually all diamond and fashion designer jewelry, from rings and earrings to bands and bracelets and so much more. We're breaking our own rules to bring you extreme value for 5 hot summer days. Get ready. 20% extra savings on a multi-million-dollar selection of fine jewelry, July 21st through 25th. Diamonds Direct. Olive in 270 at City Place.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for ThrottleNet. And if you need new IT service and you're a small business owner, or you just need better IT service, why wouldn't you check out ThrottleNet? They won Best in Customer Service from Small Business Monthly this past January, Best in Cybersecurity in Small Business Monthly in February. Ransomware has been huge, unfortunately, on the rise through the pandemic, and ThrottleNet has saved clients $2.6 million in ransom. So they protect against ransomware by providing a tool set that provides cybersecurity training for employees, identifying and quarantining an infected machine from the network, and the equipment will recover in less than 24 hours. Take advantage of a great offer. The first 30 days with ThrottleNet are free. There's no onboarding fees if you leave in the first 30 days. ThrottleNet will pay you $1,000 for your trouble. And after the first 30 days, no contracts, they're month to month. Check out ThrottleNet online. Use the 97.1 connection. ThrottleNet.com/971. ThrottleNet.com/971. Get started today.
Save today on your next project with 11% off everything now at Menards. Light up your garage or workspace with Patriot Lighting. Get a 15,000 lumen high bay light that's energy efficient and swivels to adjust light where you need it. All Patriot Lighting is 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through Saturday, July 17th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
The Mark Reardon Show.
The other option would be, hey, if you really are that worried about it, if the teachers union is worried, have the teacher at home, have the kids in the class. Well, they don't have enough staff to do something like that.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
And now, please rise for the singing of our national anthem. Please don't burn on the grill.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. I have not heard this. I have not heard a song that sampled the Jeffersons theme. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Who is that? Is that Nelly?
I don't know. Who is it?
I'll look it up. I'll find out.
You're the child, Jake.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
know.
not-
The
not
child?
saying that. No, but I mean, compared to,
Oh, okay.
you're much more hip. No, you're not a kid, but I mean, you're more hip than I am. And you didn't know who Pablo Cruz was.
That is true. I still
don't.
That makes you young.
There were
Just
so
saying.
many things that came up when we searched it. We're still not sure what you were talking about.
It's a band. Okay, that's okay. We don't have to worry. Well, we're worried about it now, but just sampling the Jeffersons theme.
Michael in the Facebook chat says that is Nelly.
Yes, I picked
Okay,
right.
That's what we
thank
thought.
you, Michael. Appreciate that. Facebook chat. By the way, the Heidi Harris Show. You can find me on Twitter, all those things. Heidi Harris Show. But we're doing the Annie Frey Show. I'm filling in for Annie Frey, and so anything I say, do not hold it against Annie Frey. Okay. Because I'm sure she's a nicer girl than I am. You just never know. Anyway, Royal Caribbean got an update on that situation. Remember that grandfather who held his granddaughter up to the window and then she went to her death, which is, I don't like to do dead baby stories generally. I don't kind of do those stories, child abuse and dog things, and I don't do that kind of stuff. But this has been a legal issue. You guys are aware of that case, right? Of course.
I barely remember this.
Okay, well, here's the thing. This is Royal Caribbean. This grandfather in 2019 had his 18-month-old granddaughter up to an open window and then dropped her. And I hate to even mention this, but this has been a massive lawsuit against Royal Caribbean. But if you see the video of, and you don't see the child falling, thank God, who wants to see that? You see him walk up to the window and lean out of it. And then he picks up his granddaughter. Now, he did not mean to drop her. That's very clear. But he knew the window was not there. And he was kind of holding her up in the window, letting her see out, and dropped her. And it's been a lawsuit. Now, apparently, Royal Caribbean is not responsible for this grandfather. The parents have not blamed him. The parents have tried to, parents of the child have tried to blame, Royal Caribbean. They should have had a window there, this, that, and the other. And this thing has gone on. I mean, can you imagine even getting up the next day if you did something like that?
No.
I can't imagine ever getting out of bed again.
No. I mean, you mean if you're the grandpa?
Yeah, even if it was clearly a mistake. But, I mean, I don't know how you get out of bed. I really don't.
That's a day ruiner for sure.
Yeah, that's a terrible one. Anyway, the federal judge said that the true risk creating danger here was Mr. Anello lifting a child up to an open window, and he's absolved the cruise liner of liability. And there was video, like I said, of him walking up to the window, leaning out the window, and then going to pick her up to let her see out. And unfortunately, he pled guilty to criminally negligent homicide, claiming he didn't know he was holding her against an open window, which, because there were no warning signs. Okay.
Oh yeah, come on. Like we all want to have a lot of compassion for you, even if we think you're kind of dumb for doing that. But for you to then turn around and sue Royal Caribbean, come on, man. Joe Biden. Come on.
Well,
man.
the lawyer and the lawyer's family, and typically, here's what the lawyers said that the family surprised and deeply saddened by the court's ruling. This is a matter that should be decided by a jury. You know why they want a jury.
Yeah.
Right.
To emotionally appeal to them, right?
That's correct. A jury will say, everybody wants a jury in these kind of situations because somebody died, somebody has to pay. That's what they want. But I mean, it's a terrible story. And like I said, I don't even like to do those kind of stories because they're just too depressing. But this has been going on now but to me, it's amazing that you would try to sue the cruise line. It's pretty obvious what happened. I mean, and money's not going to bring her child back, right?
No, but that's why they're doing it, because they see they could possibly get dollars out of this.
I don't know. I think the family was so desperate to try to blame somebody else. They did not blame the grandfather because it was a mistake, obviously. Can you imagine the dynamics in that family after that kind of thing happens?
No, somebody in our chat actually said that. I think Michael says on our Facebook stream, says, sadly, blaming the grandpa would further tear the family apart. They can't afford to admit the fault, no matter how accidental it was. That's probably true.
And that is true because you want to blame somebody else because obviously he would never, ever have put this child in jeopardy. And apparently he was very close to her and that kind of thing. He's got to live with that forever. But yeah, and you're right. It makes it easier to blame somebody else and not blame the grandfather for just being irresponsible, frankly.
Isn't this every parent's worst nightmare? That you go somewhere or you let your kid go somewhere with somebody you trust and then something happens. I mean, that's where your mind goes every single time that you leave. Every day I leave my kids at school. That I'm not saying I'm afraid of it, but it's in the back of your mind. Well, what could happen? I hate that that's true, but that is true. And it's because of stories like this.
Yeah, and there are things that happen with parents whose children drown in pools and things like that, and terrible stories that happen. They take their eyes off the child for 1 second and something awful happens. People who love their children, who would never actively hurt their children, lose their kids in tragic ways at times. It certainly does happen. But yeah, when it's somebody else doing it, you're thinking, oh my gosh, if I'd been there, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You can't not think that. It's a real bummer. I don't know why I even mentioned that. I should have left it alone today.
Yeah, thanks
I've been following the story for a while.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing us all down.
Way to go. I don't know what could possibly ever cheer me up after a story like that.
Sorry. Like I said, I want to see naked was a 66-year-old man.
That'll do it. That'll work. I feel better now.
Okay. I'm sorry. Like I said, it was only because of the fact that it has been in the news and it's been a controversy for a while. But, and once again, to your point, Ryan, about it, when you take your child to any place, Disney World, Disneyland, some theme park of any kind, or anything like that, where it's not in your immediate control, the environment's not in your immediate control, that your fence is solid, for example, at your house, if, for people who have one, or, there's a gate around your pool, or, this, or, that, you go to another environment, that's the difference.
What's funny is we're such a litigation society now. We sue for everything, for any possible infraction that was probably not even the company's fault. We'll sue for it, just like this story. But when I went to, you ever been to Iceland, Heidi?
No, I have not, but I know it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh! So we went there right before we were going to start having kids, because we knew once we had kids,
probably
no more vacations, and we were right. And so I'm glad we went. But it's amazing when you go to a society that's not basically based entirely on litigation, how open everything is. And I would be scared to death to take my kids there now. This was before kids, so I loved it. But you can walk and just do anything. There's no guardrails on anywhere you walk, on any cliffs. There's no warning sign. Everywhere you go in the United States, there's a warning sign. There's a not liable. You got to sign something before you go on the trip. You got to everything
Isn't that
possible.
True?
Iceland and other nations, probably in general. I'm just saying this one are much more open because they don't allow frivolous lawsuits as much as we do.
That's interesting. I have a friend who's skied all over the world, and he's skied in places in the Swiss Alps like Zermatt and Val d'Isère and places like that. And you go down a crevasse, oh well.
Yeah.
You don't get to sue anybody. You drop out of a helicopter, which I would love to do before I die. Drop out of a helicopter, hit those, those high parts. Not that I'm any, great skier, but you're not going to sue like you do in America, where it's always somebody else's fault. No matter what happens, it's always somebody else's fault. And that's not true. But unfortunately, there are a lot of juries that see it that way. So, and their thinking may not be that you're at fault, but do you have money? Somebody's got to pay. Right?
Yes.
So do you have money? Because that's what they do. They go for the corporation because they want to sue them. But ultimately, it's listen, I hate the entire story. But these kind of things do happen, and people just have to be responsible. And it's one of those things where it's 1 second and everything changes.
It's really amazing. We're a personal responsibility society, or at least we traditionally have been.
Right.
And we're the worst about that. I don't know how we got that way, because there are countries in Europe, just like I was talking about, who are way less about personal responsibility, but that I guess they just don't allow those kind of lawsuits as much as we do.
Right. Yeah, and that's part of it. So it's just sad because there are no winners in situations like that. That's what it comes down to: 0 winners. And and it's, you always see these stories and you think, it's got to be somebody else's fault because it's easier than blaming yourself. Yeah, but if this weren't here, if that weren't there, like the people who want to blame, there are people who want to blame, obviously, gun manufacturers for any kind of gun violence. Well, when are you going to start suing people who make, cars for somebody who's a drunk driver? When's that going to happen? You've got to take responsibility. I took some friends' kids one time to an RV show. Okay. And it was almost like that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Everybody had a basket on their head. And you're like, oh my gosh, all these RVs. And I took 3 school-age kids. And I said, look, I laid the law down. We walked in. I said, no running ahead. No going into an RV if we're not there. I said, we will go in every single one. I promise. Every single one. But don't play hide and seek. None of that crap, or we're out of here. I laid the law down. Okay, Miss Heidi.
Man, when I was a kid, if I went to like an RV park like that, and we could go into all the RVs, hide and seek would be the number 1 activity.
Well, that's right. That's why I put the kibosh on that right away,
That's
because
exactly right.
Because there could be some freak in there in the bathroom. You don't know. I don't know where you are. There are 100 RVs here. What if you're running ahead and hiding and that kind of stuff? I don't mess around. Miss Heidi don't mess around.
That still sounds like fun. I just don't want to do
Doesn't
it with
it?
Heidi. I don't want to do it with Heidi, though, apparently.
No, but I had to lay the law down. I had 3 kids to keep track of, and they weren't mine. See, that's the thing. You don't want to lose your kids or someone else's kids. Your kid's bad enough. Someone else's kid's far worse. You don't want to have that happen. All right, much more to come. We'll talk with Illinois policy coming up. Adam Schuster's got an update on voter participation and the different kinds of elections and how much voter participation is greater or lesser depending on what the elections are like. We'll talk about that. And also 1.8 million people out of work have turned down jobs. You'd think they'd be looking for one after all this. We'll get to the reasons for that coming up on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube, the Annie Frey Show. You can watch us doing our thing live. Coming right back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
Is your old garage door a real clunker? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is paying cash for your clunkers in July. We'll haul away your old garage door and give you instant credit towards the new insulated door. $150 for your double garage door, $100 for a single door. Cash in on your old opener and entry door too. Free evening and weekend estimates. Our showroom is open. Call 314-781-5200 or schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk. And in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcasts on Odyssey.com and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a no-charge appraisal? It's never asking for a credit card or charging for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan.
No risk on refinancing, but I live for danger.
With our rates at a low 2.25%, refinancing with Golden Oak is anything but risky business. Get started today at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 2.25% fixed, 3.195% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 11737 Administration Drive, St. Louis, Missouri.
George Weber. If you want music on the radio like it used to be, where the DJs played what they wanted and then talked about it, tune in to my alter ego, Skip Weber, every Saturday night at 9 p.m. on the Saturday Evening Rock Show, the greatest music show on a talk station in the world.
The race for the Missouri Senate seat's already heating up. Mark Cox here. Join me in person Thursday, July 15th at 18th North Central as we kick off our Decision 2022 coverage. I'll talk to each candidate one-on-one. First up, former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens. We'll hear what impact he thinks he can make in the Senate. A conversation with Eric Greitens, July 15th. The doors open at 6. It is free and open to the public. 18 North Central is located at 18 North Central Drive, O'Fallon, Missouri.
Edwards Carpet, serving St. Louis for 82 years. We have all your flooring needs and a level of customer service you can't get at the home centers. Great prices, free financing, and guaranteed installation.
Come on down to Edwards Carpet Stores.
If you're tired of dealing with a wet basement or crawl space and worrying about the damage it's doing to your home, call B-Dry, your waterproofing experts for over 60 years. B-Dry's proven and patented methods completely combat the most common ways water enters your basement, and B-Dry offers a limited time warranty. Call B-Dry now for a free estimate and save $500 off your waterproofing system. Call 1-800-966-2379 or BDrySolutions.com. That's BDrySolutions.com.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk. An Odyssey station. Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Sunshine controls the rest of the afternoon with a little uptick in temperatures and humidity, but for the middle of summer, not bad at all. We'll be hanging around 90 degrees. Tonight, clear skies, 80s for evening plans, 74 for a warm overnight low. Thursday, partly sunny, hot and humid, 94, but an increase in rain and thunderstorms late Thursday night and Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
The alarm about spending levels and tax hikes. The number of people missing in Cuba is growing as the communist regime continues a crackdown on protesters.
We continue to call for the swift release of those peaceful protesters who have been unjustly detained. Again, we stand with the Cuban people and their call for freedom from both the pandemic and from decades of repression.
White House spokeswoman Jen Psaki also says the administration's Cuba policy remains under review as some Republican lawmakers press them to say and do more. President Biden has previously expressed support for a return to the diplomatic efforts started under President Obama. The State Department just condemning the Taliban killing of surrendering Afghan commandos, saying there's no reason to doubt the authenticity of a video showing it. This is the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan continues. The family of a black man shot by sheriff's deputies in North Carolina files a multi-million-dollar lawsuit.
Andrew Brown Jr. was killed in April as Pasquotank County deputies attempted to serve him warrants. As he tried to get away in his car, deputies fired several shots, one hitting Brown in the back of his head. The suit claims the officers showed reckless disregard of his life and seeks $30 million in damages.
Fox's Colonel Scott Brown's family says body cam footage justifies their concerns, but a prosecutor has said officers acted within the law. America is listening to Fox News.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News. From the Fox News Podcasts Network, it's the Fox News Rundown. Start your day with a contrast of perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. A daily morning podcast going far beyond the headlines, tapping into the massive reporting resources of Fox News to provide a full picture of the news of the day.
I'm Dana Perino.
I'm Brett Baer.
I'm Jessica Tarlov.
I'm Chris Wallace, and this is the Fox News Rundown.
Listen and subscribe now by going to foxnewspodcasts.com.
Presented by Rocket Mortgage. When you need certainty in the home buying process with a loan that fits your life, Rocket can. When you need an expert to help navigate the home loan process, Rocket can.
Hello, Marvin Mitchell here from Compass Retirement Solutions. Did you know that the average 3-year CD rate in the area was less than 1%? That's why we are excited to offer you several accounts that are short-term and pay better than bank rates. For example, we currently have a 3-year account paying 2.4% and a 5-year account paying 3.5% per year guaranteed. What a great place for your lazy money. You know, the money that you don't plan to use for the next 3 to 5 years. Now, terms and conditions do apply. So for more information, call 314-373-1598. Again, call 314-373-1598. This is Marvin Mitchell, and we would like to put your lazy money to work for you. Call 314-373-1598.
Guarantees are backed by the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Rates can change without notice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
You've heard it before, and it's true. The easiest way to freshen up the look in your home or your business is with a new coat of paint. It's Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, and with CertaPro, it's even better. You don't have to do the work yourself. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. These are local painting crews in our area. They do business and residential, whether you need interior or exterior work. You can trust CertaPro to deliver top-notch results every time. That's why I've hired them time and time again. Your free estimate is just a couple of clicks away at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro Painters.
Del Walmsley here. The first thing you're going to have to learn is until you stop expecting the politicians or anyone else to change your life isn't going to change. The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
You could be on your way to a better lifestyle and experience the life of your dreams. Tune in to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
At Performance Eye Care, we put the utmost care in our eye exams. If you're avoiding your eye appointment because you fear the dreaded air puff, or you're scared of leaving with dilated eyes for the rest of the day, worry no more. By utilizing the latest technology, we've been able to eliminate the uncomfortable air puff, and we don't need to dilate your eyes. That means no anticipatory blinking and no discomfort. Just a simple state-of-the-art instrument yielding more accurate results. At Performance Eye Care, we also care about your time. That's why we offer same-day appointments with flexible scheduling. Now is the time to schedule your child's back-to-school eye exam. Kids typically don't know if they can't see well and have rapid changes to eyesight as they grow. Children need to see an eye doctor every year. You can secure your back-to-school appointment with one of our friendly eye care professionals at any of our 8 metro area locations on both sides of the river. Now at performanceeyecare.com. That's performanceeyecare.com.
Odyssey now has hundreds of new exclusive music stations for you to discover your new summer soundtrack.
Get moving with worthy workouts for a cardio sesh fueled by today's top artists.
Hanging with your crew? Throw it back with Picnic Party for old school jams for your cookout.
Or sail away with Odyssey's new yacht rock station, Jugger Yacht.
There are hundreds of new exclusive stations to check out today.
For summer barbecues,
road trips,
or relaxing poolside.
for every move, every interest, every passion. Buy Odyssey.
This is where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Join the conversation digitally. Download the Odyssey app and tune into the #1 talk station in St. Louis at any time. The Annie Frey Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, Sis. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. How you doing? Happy afternoon to you. Lots to get to this hour. We're going to get to the 1.8 million people out of work who have turned down jobs. What? We'll get to that coming up. Why go back to work? You know, when you can sit home but I'm not done binge watching Breaking Bad or whatever the latest thing is. Oh my gosh. We'll get to that coming up. But we join every week at this time, Illinois Policy. Adam Schuster is here, Senior Director of Budget and Tax Research at the Illinois Policy Institute. And we're going to talk about competitive elections and how that helps voter participation. How are you, sir? Nice talking to you again.
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
So talk to me about competitive elections and how voters tend to get out in higher numbers when that happens. Because a lot of times folks will say, none of the candidates are any good. I don't like any of these people, right? But when it's competitive, that tends to get them off their couches.
So that's exactly right. So we're having this national conversation right now around the idea of voter suppression, right? And Governor Pritzker just signed a bill that makes Election Day a holiday, expands access to mail-in voting and drop boxes and all this type of thing. And he's saying that, he's doing this to give Illinoisans a voice, to make sure their voices are heard. Unfortunately, over the last legislative map, the one that was signed in 2011, the last map passed under former Speaker Mike Madigan, about half of the races were uncontested for the Illinois House. And what that means is about
really?
Yeah, about
well,
half.
I want to stop there for a second. Really? Half of them were uncontested? Ay.
Yeah, so some years it was more than half, some years it was less than half, but if you average it out over the decade of the map, it's about half. So about half of Illinois voters, which comes out to about 4.7 million voting age Illinoisans, people who could have cast a ballot, live in a district where they had no choice, no options for state representatives.
Well, that's important too. We're speaking with Adam Schuster, Senior Director of Budget and Tax Research with the Illinois Policy Institute. That's important not only to that person who represents you because you feel like you got no choice, but if people stay home and there are other races on the ballot, judges, federal races, things like that, then that's affected too.
Absolutely. And ultimately, the reason we care about all of this is because if people aren't showing up and they're being discouraged from showing up by gerrymandered maps that make sure there's only one candidate on the ballot, then their voice isn't heard in Springfield and isn't able to be reflected in public policy. So when we see lawmakers, making decisions, right, putting all the money into pensions, continually hiking taxes, not spending the money on things that, ordinary people actually, want and need, it's because, they're effectively not represented. And just to put a fine point on it, I said 4.7 million people lived in districts with no choice. That's almost the entire population of Cook County worth of people who didn't have an option on their ballot.
Wow. You also we're speaking with Adam Schuster from Illinois Policy. You also talk about uncontested House districts that have led to 1.7 million missing votes since 2012. Missing votes, just, no point in going out. They're all the same.
Exactly. And so what we were, to close the loop we were talking about here at the beginning, 7% is the gap on average for when there's two candidates on the ballot for when it's uncontested, a voter turnout gap of 7%. On average, that's about across the state, 335 1,000 people more per district that would show up and vote if there were 2 candidates on the ballot. So, and when these people aren't being represented, that's why we have pension spending growing 500%, while spending on social services and programs for the poor are down by about 15%. And it's also the reason, by the way, that Illinois leads the nation in public corruption convictions, because when lawmakers can't be held accountable because they're the only option on the ballot, and they know that there's not that accountability mechanism, they're more likely to think they can get away with bad behavior. And so whether you want to look at Illinois or Greece, which I sometimes think is maybe the closest parallel across the seas over in Europe, what you see is that the more competitive elections are, the lower corruption tends to be in the area.
That's interesting. We're speaking with Adam Schuster from Illinois Policy. I know Ryan's got a couple of questions for you, but I want to just piggyback on something you said. You're talking about the pensions. The pensions all over the country are a looming disaster that don't get anywhere near the publicity that they should. Publicity maybe not the best word, but they don't get talked about as much as they should, because this is going to affect all of us, whether or not you're ever getting a pension.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And, it's a $4.7 trillion debt problem nationwide. It's about 3 times the size of the student loan debt crisis, which gets talked about way more often. And Illinois is ground zero for this huge national problem. We have the worst pension crisis in the nation by far. And, the point we're making, the reason we're talking about pensions and competitive elections is because, again, policymakers, when they don't have competitive elections, it increases the influence of lobbyists and special interest groups like the very well-funded unions, public sector unions that we have in the state, and it decreases the influence of regular people at home.
Adam Schuster, Illinois Policy, on the phone with us. So we talk about pensions with you quite a bit. It's obviously one of the biggest, if not maybe the biggest problem in Illinois, especially economically. How often are you hearing from people who get pensions who are just concerned that it's not going to be there for them? Because we can talk till we're blue in the face, but these are the people who they are going to be the ones to change things.
Yes, and I think that's absolutely spot on. Every state that has successfully done pension reform has had involvement from public sector unions at some point. In Michigan, the AFSCME director, which is the largest state public sector union also here in Illinois, said that they supported pension reform in Michigan because they realized that if they didn't, then the funds were going to go insolvent and nobody was going to get what they were expecting and what they were promised anyway. That same thing is true in Illinois. There are a lot of public sector workers who get it. Unfortunately, their voices often aren't represented either. And, it's these union bosses, the leadership of these unions rather than the rank and file members who are really influencing the lawmakers. And right now in Illinois, at least, their interest seems to be in denying that a problem even exists, or in pretending that we can fix it by kind of tinkering around the edges. And they're not being honest with their members about how severe the problem is.
Adam, let me go back real quick with you to this issue about competitive elections, the fact that Illinois has so many uncontested elections, especially. Isn't that a problem? I mean, I'll dump on Illinois all day. I'm a resident and I get fed up with this stuff all the time. It's one of the reasons we talk to you. We want to see things change for the better. But isn't that a problem really in any heavily gerrymandered state, that they're eliminating competition overall?
Yes, that's exactly right. So, gerrymandering is a reversal of the way representative government is supposed to work. Rather than voters picking their politicians, it allows politicians to pick their voters. It's extremely unseemly. And in every state where this happens, you are discouraging people from showing up to vote. And it is a bipartisan problem. There are Republican states that gerrymander, and there are Democratic states like Illinois that gerrymander. Illinois, though, really is an outlier. I mean, I know, this is a problem in many other places, but if you look at the number of uncontested races nationwide for state legislatures, it tends to be about a third. And as I said at the top of the show, Illinois is at about half. So we're significantly more gerrymandered, and therefore discouraging more people from running from office, and therefore discouraging more people from showing up to vote because they don't see their policy preferences represented on the ballot.
We're speaking with Adam Schuster from Illinois Policy. I was just going to ask you about that. I mean, how do you get good people to want to run for office? That's the real issue, trying to recruit good candidates. But as you mentioned, with the gerrymandering, people just get the heck with it. I can't win. Why should I bother?
Well, we're working on it. I mean, one of the things that Illinois policy has decided to do when we recognize this problem in our research is, to put our money where our mouth is and go out there and start working on recruiting candidates and helping to find, good, honest people in a nonpartisan way. Just anybody who's interested in honest service in government, we're giving them the information they need in order to get access to the ballot, in order to get their name on the ballot. We don't do elections, but we do think that this is ultimately a public policy problem, that uncompetitive elections affect every decision that is made in Springfield. And so we have to, do the work of encouraging people to run. And I think people oftentimes can get surprised when, they do run, how many people will show up and vote for them. Because again, there's this huge, you could call it a silent majority, you could call it disaffected voters, whatever you want, but there's a bunch of people unhappy with how things are going who are currently sitting at home and not voting. So if we can convince people, to run, to put themselves out there and get on the ballot, then we can encourage those people to show up and start changing, the policy of Illinois.
I'm glad you brought that up, Adam, and we're running out of time here with you. But you mentioned the fact that there's so many people who are they're fed up with the way things are, but then they don't really think that their vote's going to matter. And issues like this is why. If there's nobody running against the Democrat or whoever you're voting for, you're not going to show up because you don't care. They're not going to change anything. However, with statewide elections, we've seen that people can make a difference. The progressive income tax is a great example of that.
Absolutely. And with the progressive income tax, what happened is we went out, we educated people on what it was going to mean. And, it got people excited and got people, worried about the future of their state. And they showed up and voted. And, the good high turnout was a good thing for those who wanted the progressive income tax to fail, because most of the people, who were showing up for the first time or who didn't, who aren't regular voters were showing up to vote against the progressive income tax. And, even if people don't win, right, and even if they don't win the first time, if people start running in some of these legislative districts that have been historically uncontested, even that, encouraging those people to get out and vote, even if the candidate doesn't win, can have an impact on these other races, can have an impact on, ballot questions like the progressive income tax, like the constitutional amendment that is going to be on the ballot this next general election.
Well, one of the points that you made too, when you were talking about going back to the pension thing for a second, the problem is it's the fox in the hen house, right? You've got all of these people who vote on their own pensions. We've got to stop that. This is going on in almost every state that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. The politicians' pensions are the worst funded in the state. And a lot of the reason for that is because it's one of the most abused systems that there is. You see these ridiculous payouts. People like Mike Madigan, who is able to essentially bank cost of living adjustments. So start earning cost of living adjustments while he was still working, which means about a year after Mike Madigan retires, he's going to see his pension double. This is someone who's going to be getting at least $1.7 million in benefits, assuming an average life expectancy, who only paid, $150,000 into the system to begin with. So, yeah, it's the politicians being able to vote on their own retirement benefits is a huge problem. And it's especially a problem when about half of those politicians don't face any competition and therefore don't face any accountability for the votes that they take.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Adam Schuster, Illinois Policy. Any other questions, Ryan?
I think we've covered it. Thanks, Heidi.
All right.
Thanks, Adam.
It's depressing, but we're glad you're on the case, Adam. That's for sure.
Well, and for everyone out there listening, if you've ever thought of running, now's the time to do it. Encourage your friends and neighbors to do it, because we need more good people to run for office to solve this problem.
Do. Yes, we do. We need some actual choices on the ballot. That's for sure. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining the Annie Frey Show.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're the one who lives in Illinois, Ryan.
That's why we have Illinois Policy on, because it's such an uphill battle in Illinois, and you get so frustrated. Let me tell you, every single time I write a check for property taxes, I just get angry. And you feel like there's nothing you can do to change it, but we're working as hard as we can to change anything we can, whether it's local or statewide.
Well, how much would it save you to move to Missouri?
Depends on where in Missouri. So if I moved into the city or the county, some of those taxes are actually pretty high. But if I moved out, if I go far south enough into Arnold or west enough, I'd probably pay about half as much in property taxes for the same Same size
But
building.
then depending on where you work, depending on the commute and the gas and this and that, right? Then it might just be a wash.
Exactly. You got to factor all that in because my drive right now, we work in downtown St. Louis. I live in Illinois. My drive's only 15, 20 minutes. If you go
Right.
far enough out west, I'd still pay city taxes because I'd still be working downtown, but I might save on property taxes, but then I'd lose a lot of time. So yeah,
Right.
you got to factor everything in.
Everything's a trade-off in life. Everything's a trade-off in life. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about how 1.8 million people out of work in America have turned down jobs because, hey, why go to work? We'll tell you why. That's coming up next on the Annie Frey Show. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey.
It's time to get back together. Back to group hugs and group hangs. Dining in with family and going out with friends. But to get back to the things we love safely, we need to get vaccinated. COVID-19 vaccines are free and proven effective. But if you still have questions, that's okay. It's your choice. Go to mostopscovid.com or call 877-435-8411 to get answers and find a vaccine near you. Because we're stronger together.
If you're looking for a new dentist for you and your family, check out what New Creation Dental Care can do for you, now in 2 locations in Lake St. Louis. Dr. Matt Boscia and Dr. Jennifer Allen make New Creation Dental Care a one-stop solution for all your dental needs, from the basics like cleanings and fillings to the complicated like orthodontics and implants. They also offer services like sleep apnea treatment, a membership program that gives individuals and families that don't have dental insurance some coverage and peace of mind that they're okay if they have a dental issue. They also offer fast braces. Fast braces are cheaper, more comfortable, and of course, much faster than traditional braces, with most cases taking a matter of weeks, not years, before you have a perfect smile. Also, you're not a number at New Creation Dental Care. It's not corporate dentistry. Dr. Boscia and Dr. Allen have personal relationships with their patients and always put your needs and comfort above all else. Learn more about fast braces, their amazing implant technology, and all the other great services they offer at New Creation Dental Care by going to newcreationdentalcare.com.
The med spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the med spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Race fans, I'm IndyCar driver Ed Jones. Buying a car is just a few clicks away at bonmarito.com, new or pre-owned. See it today, drive it today. Shop thousands of vehicles and buy 100% online with Bon Marito Fast Pass. Schedule your test drive, finance, and get more for your trade. A better experience, a better price. Go with the automotive leader, Missouri's #1 automotive group. Open 24/7 at bonmarito.com, and I'll see you at the track.
What's holding you back from solving your tax problems? If it's cost, know that the longer you wait, the more expensive it'll be. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Tax resolution doesn't have to be expensive, and waiting year after year to resolve your tax problems can be extremely costly. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. So take the first step now and hire a tax resolution attorney to help you. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. But the longer you wait, the more interest and penalties you'll pay. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Warm weather's a great time to train a new puppy. Mark Cox here from my friends at Petland in Lake St. Louis. They've got the puppies. If you've had a hard time finding one, go to PetlandSTL.com or just pay them a visit. 6131 Ronald Reagan Drive out in Lake St. Louis. Puppies have been hard to come by, but the owners, Tom and Jeff, have amazing relationships. They can offer the best selection of puppies in Missouri. Again, 636-695-4503, PetlandSTL.com.
Critical thinking for critical times. You're listening to the #1 talk station in St. Louis. A voice for the free exchange of ideas. This is 97.1 FM Talk. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey, just grouping on the tunes this afternoon. Got Ryan here, Jake here, holding down the fort. Listen to this, guys. We are turning on each other. You know, the elites can't be everywhere, right? So they turn us on each other. Listen to this. Most people in a new poll approve of Biden administration's door-to-door vaccine awareness plan. Wow. Can you believe that? Most Americans, 54%, said they support such a vaccination promotion campaign, including 28% who strongly support it and 26% who somewhat support it.
Okay,
wow.
so it's barely over 50%.
Doesn't matter.
Means...
The Hill was trumpeting the results anyway. And I
course.
know it's the Hill. I get it. It's a Morning Consult Politico poll. Take it for what it's worth. I understand. Probably a lot of scaredy cats. The Pearl Clutcher poll, I'm sure. But okay, let's just stop for a second and think about this. I don't care how you feel about the vaccine. It's your right to decide what you want to do. My body, my choice, right? You should be able to decide what you want to do on the vaccine. But we live in America. We don't go door to door and try to get people to take any kind of medical treatment, do we? I mean, have we gotten to that? Have we regressed to that point, guys? Really?
I guess we have. I doubt that we're really going to see much of this because there's been enough pushback that if somebody, I think the people doing the door to door are going to be afraid to do it in certain areas that they'd be sent into because they know that people would answer the door with a gun. But I also, we were talking about this yesterday in light of the Biden administration saying openly that they're going to monitor people's text messages too for vaccine misinformation. There are legal problems with that. Going door to door, they might be able to do, but somebody's going to challenge the text message thing legally. It doesn't mean they'll stop them, but that is illegal. You can't do that.
Yeah, I just want to know what they're going to say when they come to your door. Not that I would open the door, because I would not open the door. But I'm just wondering what they would say when you come to the door, when they show up. Have you had a vaccine? None of your business, slam. Right?
That's what every single person who hasn't had one is going to say. There's not a whole, category of people out there who are waiting, who are like, man,
right.
I haven't heard much about this COVID thing. I'm starting to think that maybe I'm in danger of it, but I don't know if I should get vaccinated, nor do I even know where to go to get a vaccine. I wish somebody would come to my door and tell me.
Yeah, right. Have you seen that meme going around? It's a little cartoon. A little kid says to their mom or dad, whoever it is, how will I know who's been vaccinated? Don't worry, honey. They'll tell you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. The same people who do CrossFit and are vegan.
That's funny.
CrossFit and vegan. Yeah, they got to make it a political statement about whatever. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I know several people, some very close people to me have been vaccinated. Some very close friends of mine who are not really in danger groups, so they've been vaccinated, and I'm not giving them a hard time about it. I wouldn't. I respect them. I respect their choice. I love them very much. I hope it doesn't go badly because there are some people I really care about who've gotten the vaccine. But yeah, the idea that you give somebody a hard time about it or something is crazy.
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about it with the people at your office or the people in your family and your friends or your church group or whatever, because people are just curious. Have you done it? Are you getting it? Or have you had COVID? What's your situation? And a lot of that's related to masks too, because at the time it was everybody's taking them off who's had the vaccine. We're kind of getting past that now. But for a complete stranger to come to your door and ask you, that's a different level of transparency.
Right. Well, I put it on my Twitter thing. I mean, Heidi Harris Show Twitter. Of course, I'm filling in for Annie Frey. It's not my show, but my Twitter feed is Heidi Harris Show. And I put it right on there. I mean, that I've survived COVID. I beat it back. I'm proud that I've survived COVID. I am herd immunity is the hashtag, right? That a lot of people use.
Okay.
I'm part of the herd. I'm proudly part of the herd. Maybe that's it too. Because Ryan, you and I are the kind of people who go, yeah, I've already had it. That's right. We beat it back. We survived it. What do you want to know?
Yeah. My wife and I have had these discussions, and part of that discussion is a little moot because we go, Ryan, you are on the radio talking about the fact that you haven't had the vaccine every day. Nobody's going to ask you because you say it all the time. But I am open about it even in my private life. People don't always tune in noon to 3 and hear what I have to say about it.
Yeah.
And my point is the same privately as it is publicly, that if I've had the thing, I'm not afraid of it anymore.
Because despite whatever you would answer if somebody were to ask you that, and I'm not talking about the people knocking on the doors, but if it's just anybody asking you, have you got it, have you not? Like your answer could just be them help them make their own decision. Like they're just trying to figure out
your business.
Well, I mean, there's that aspect as well, but I'm trying to think of it more innocently. Like here's somebody who's on the fence about it, and he's asking his friends and his family and his coworkers and getting, their story and their experience with it so that they can have their own opinion.
Getting opinions. Yeah. Now, here's the question though. Also, when you've got people who've already had it, do you guys know anybody who has not had COVID and not had the vaccine? I know a few people like that.
I do. I know a couple. I can't say, but they're private about it. They're not out there yelling, so they're harder to find because they know there's all this social pressure. They're not telling you openly. They might say, under the breath, hey, by the way, I know since I hear you noon to 3.
I'm a super spreader. I've not had COVID and I've not had the vaccine.
Yeah,
that's right. What about you, Jake? Anybody you know?
I don't think so. I think everybody I know has either had it and won't get the vaccine or didn't have it and just got the vaccine. I'm not
now, do you know people who've had it and gotten the vaccine?
Yes.
I don't think so. Unless you and I know somebody here at the office who did. Other than that, I can't think of anybody.
No, I know people who've had it and gotten the vaccine.
And how's it gone for them?
I've heard from them that their reaction to the vaccine was actually worse because their antibodies. I'm assuming here what they said was their antibodies that they already had kind of attacked the vaccine and made them have a bad reaction to the vaccine.
Yeah, well, there's a big shock. Who would have predicted that? 81% of Democrats in this poll that was done by Politico, 81% of Democrats supported the strategy of knocking on doors. Of course they did. Of course they did. They have no problem with this. Unbelievable. Knocking on the door. Have you had the vax? Get lost. Get off my lawn.
Yeah, what happened to not in my backyard? Get out of here. Go to my front yard.
It's a shotgun. Have you ever seen Jeepers Creepers?
The movie?
Campy old horror movie. And you got Eileen Brennan standing on the porch. There's the creepy thing in the cornfield. You got 10 seconds to get off my lawn. And she's got like this big shotgun. And I just picture that in my mind. I know it's a campy, silly little horror movie, but I'm picturing that kind of thing. Get out of here. I'm knocking on my door.
Wait, now, are you talking about a black and white version? Is this an old Jeepers Creepers?
No, this is Jeepers Creepers, probably in the 90s, late 90s.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I don't know another one than that one. That was Wes Craven. I don't remember an old lady standing in a cornfield.
Well, yeah, the one Jeepers Creepers, it was pretty creepy with the lady standing. She was on her. The thing was in her cornfield, and then she has the big shotgun.
Oh man, I completely forgot the plot. All I remember
10 seconds.
All I remember is the end of that movie because it was so shocking.
Was the old lady in Jeepers Creepers 1 or 2?
1, and that was Eileen Brennan. You may remember her from Private Benjamin. She was a character actress for many, many years, but she was really good in the movie. Just reminded me of that kind of thing. Or remember the same thing with Clint Eastwood. Get off my lawn. I mean, that's how people are going to be. I mean, it's dangerous enough to do anything door to door nowadays. You're going to be door to door and getting right up in people's business about the vaccine. Well, sign up for that job. How much they paying per hour? Can you even imagine anybody volunteering for that?
You know what's funny is that we talk about this stuff, and the popular narrative is that those who have denied getting the vaccine are all, right-wing conspiracists. And the actual numbers show that the highest percentage, if you want to just put it into demographic blocks, which I'm loath to do half the time, but somebody's done this, so I'm reporting on it. If you look at the actual demographics of people who are not getting the vaccine, it's mostly urban African Americans.
Well, yeah. Hello, Tuskegee experiment. They learned a lesson about government telling them, hey, get this shot.
Exactly.
I don't think so. Exactly right. Can't blame them. 1.8 million Americans who are out of work have turned down jobs because, listen to this, recent poll shows, another morning consult poll, because of the generosity of unemployment insurance. Ding, ding, ding. Why not? But I'm only halfway through Breaking Bad. Or I'm only halfway through. What's the latest thing that people watch? I don't do binge watching.
What are you watching right now, Jake?
What was it?
I don't even know what the big thing is right now. I'm watching stuff that's been out and completed for years.
Loki's
out.
Right,
oh my god, yeah.
Loki.
Yeah, the last episode.
There's Ted Lasso's a new one, right? And then when the COVID first hit, the Tiger King, whatever that was.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, but there are people who will sit and watch that. They don't want to work. 45% of the group of people who turned down job offers during the pandemic turned them down specifically because of the generosity of the benefits. Why not?
Yeah, that's the reason to do it.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna give me a whole bunch of money and benefits, I'm not gonna come to work either. I mean,
right?
That makes
and
sense
in
to
this
me.
exactly. I mean, how much are you going to give me to get off my couch? How much? No.
What's amazing is that when they were debating these back in whatever it was, June of last year, the idea at first was, let's make sure that if anybody goes on unemployment, that they're getting up to what they were making.
Right.
And then I think, as I recall, Rand Paul and a couple other people got COVID when the Republicans had control of the Senate.
Yep.
And they lost the ability to protect that ideal. And so it became, instead of it being up to what you made, it became just $600 more regardless of what you made. So if you just worked a couple hours a week part-time, you were making astronomically more on unemployment than you would have worked. And it just destroyed everything for the last 12 plus months.
Right. But the problem, of course, becomes, and we've talked about this, the problem is people who want to stay home. And I can understand that. And especially if you've got kids at home you're trying to take care of and you don't have a place, because things aren't open or whatever. I get that. But part of it is if you don't get off your couch now, when they are making all kinds of deals to get you in the door, and so many restaurants and other places are desperate for employees, I've got news for you. It's not going to get better when these benefits, ultimately, they will get cut off. And when they do, everyone's going to run for their front door, and it's going to be a whole different world out there.
Yeah, whatever show you're binging is going to end eventually.
Well, that's true. And you're going to need a job, and the employer's going to go, oh, what? You want? Oh, now you want a job. Well, I have 50 people more qualified than you. I think I'll pay you like minimum wage because I was paying $25 an hour a couple months ago, but now we've got 50 people standing at my door trying to beat it down who want a job. So we dropped that rate.
Yeah, but hey, if you're in Illinois, you're still getting those benefits, and they're raising the minimum wage to $15 over the next couple of years. So
wow,
I'll just do whatever I want. We've talked about this issue too, Heidi. I know you're not from Illinois, but we've talked about the unemployment going up like this. Everywhere they've done it, Seattle, Portland, they've tried this in major cities. It doesn't work. People just go out of business. That's what happens. And
That's
so
right.
Chicago is a bigger city, of course. So some of the businesses there, if they can weather the crime, they might be able to weather the $15 unemployment. But the downstate businesses, man, we're in terrible trouble. Terrible trouble.
Yeah, it's going to be a real problem. And that's the problem with, with the people who are running fast food places and restaurants and things like that, where in some states it used to be, I'm not sure this is even the case anymore, used to be that you could pay somebody less than a minimum wage in a restaurant or a place where they made tips. That may be out the window now. But a lot of people who are waiters and waitresses might say, hold on a second. In some of these states that have changed the minimum wage laws, I'll work for $5 an hour if you'll let me just keep my tips. But if I'm going to lose my job because you want to pay me $15, I'm not here for the $15 an hour. I'm here for the tips. Waiters and waitresses, bartenders, people like that, they're not there for that wage. They're there for the tip money. If they don't get it, they're going to be out, very unhappy about it. And of course, restaurant owners, the business is going to go down. My husband and I went to a restaurant, a couple months back, and things were starting to open up. And it's a Italian restaurant, and the service was horrible. And I'm the easiest person to wait on in the world. I was a waitress much earlier in my life. Easy to wait on. But I mean, I can see if a waiter or waitress says, hey, I'm buried, I'll be back. Okay, that's fine. I totally get it. But the restaurant was way behind, 45. My husband's food showed up a half an hour after mine. Come on. All right. We're never going back. We're never going to go back there. And that restaurant may lose people who never come back. I don't care. Your restaurant's that far behind. And my husband was talking, one of the guys in the kitchen back there, just kind of nice. My husband's very nice about it. They were just talking as he was paying his bill. And they said, yeah, well, the restaurant needs to buy this new equipment to make things faster. And they're not doing it. Okay. So you don't have the staff and you haven't invested in the equipment that you need to get the food out on time to everybody at the table at the same time. You're going to lose people who are never going to come back. We'll never come back.
Yeah. Well, that's the situation we're putting business owners in. Though.
Right.
We're forcing them to spend more money that they might not have, especially after a year of maybe being closed, depending on where you are. And your employees, they're mad. We've talked to business owners here, but they have employees that they've had for 5-10 years that they've now just gotten up to $17, $18 an hour. They've worked hard to get there. And then the guy coming in the door now is going to make 15. That negates 10 years of work that you've put in to get to the level that you're at. And the employees are mad, and the employers know that their employees are mad, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Not only that, I know a friend who's got a business in town, and I talked to her and I said, well, how much, if you pay somebody $15 an hour, because she told the same story. She said, I've got people work for me for 15 years or more. Now they're getting up to that level. Now I'm going to have somebody walking in the door making the same money. I said, if you pay somebody $15 an hour, how much do you actually have to pay with all the other things? Unemployment, the various Social Security. She said it was about $22 an hour. Depends on the state, of course. So it's not just $15 an hour. It's all the other fees you have to pay too. And it just becomes untenable after a while. That's the issue. All right, take a quick break. I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. Coming right back.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 52 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Have you been putting off life insurance for a while? With the long application process, medical exams, and blood tests, it's no wonder you put it off. It can seem so confusing, expensive, and time-consuming. But Ethos is a new kind of life insurance. Ethos is built with you in mind. Instead of a medical exam, you only have to answer a few health questions. Our application is 100% online and can be done in about 10 minutes. You might even get same-day coverage. At Ethos, we match you with the right policy and the right price for you from top-rated carriers, with no medical exams and no blood tests. Now you can spend less time sorting through confusing paperwork and more time with the loved ones you want to protect. Go to ethoslife.com today to apply in minutes. That's ethoslife.com. Ethos Technologies, Inc. operates in California as Ethos Life Insurance Services. Not available in all states, and price is subject to underwriting and certain health questions.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Legacy Box, which is the effortless way to have your outdated media digitally preserved on a modern format. Right now, they're offering a great deal, 40% off, so your memories are safe for generations. I've been having a lot of fun with Legacy Box, and think about this in terms of the summer. There's a lot of weddings. Maybe your kids are getting married. What about your wedding? Do you have all of those memories that are just packed away in a box? Give the gift of memories this year for an anniversary that you and your spouse will never forget. Once you revisit those moments, you're going to realize how much your past is worth saving. And the process is so easy, too. All you have to do is get those boxes out of the basement, unpack them, send in the old media. They will then digitize everything by hand. They send them back to you. You get perfectly preserved digital copies on thumb drive, DVD, or the cloud, and then you're going to want to do it again. Right now, Legacy Box offering 40% off so you and your family can celebrate those meaningful moments at a fraction of the normal price. Visit legacybox.com/Mark. Get started today. Legacybox.com/Mark for 40% off. That's legacybox.com/Mark.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too.
Demand for unskilled workers is sky high, but who wants that life? There's demand for hundreds of thousands of IT and cybersecurity professionals in the U.S. My Computer Career is training people to meet it. Get skilled. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. You could start your new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months. Through July, grants are covering up to 53% of the cost are available to those who qualify. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
Weekdays from 6 to 7, catch the Dave Glover Show on 97.1. It's the best of each day, boiled down to 1 hour. The DGS Highlight Hour. Every weekday at 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show.
I'm Heidi Harris in for Annie Frey. I got Ryan and Jake here. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Hey, do you guys clean your house? It could be worth $1 million. You hear about this guy in Florida won $1 million Powerball prize after he found a winning ticket while cleaning his house.
He bought the ticket and he found his own ticket?
He had bought it and he had misplaced it. And he'd gotten it at the Publix liquor store after buying it in April. He put it aside, was looking through his house, cleaning things up, and he discovered it was worth $1 million. Good for him. See, that's why you guys should clean.
How long do you have to turn those things in? Years?
Depends on where it is, usually a year. Yeah, he bought it in April, so, Nice, huh?
I am one of those guys. If I see a lottery ticket on the ground, especially a scratcher, I am always tempted to pick it up, even though I know that it's never going to be a winner because nobody's going to throw down a winner.
Yeah.
You never know. It could be the golden ticket.
I do the same. I do the same thing with like at church picnics or whatever, like those little pull tab things that you can use to win like a couple bucks or like some game tickets or a beer or something. And there are hundreds of them on the ground.
Always.
And when I was a kid, I picked up every single one of them because I wanted all of the game tickets.
You're that guy.
Totally that guy. I never
Okay,
found
now we
one
know.
though.
Now we know.
Now you know what I'm all about.
Little bit of breaking news, by the way. I mean, this isn't breaking, but just to mention it since we talked about it a lot yesterday, Heidi, did you see that the Texas legislature went ahead and passed the bill without those Democrat senators?
No, that's great news.
Yeah, so all that stunting that they did on the bus and they were taking selfies and flying to Washington, D.C. and making this big noise, they were trying to avoid a quorum in the Texas legislature because if there weren't enough of them there, they couldn't take a vote. Well, there were still enough of them there after they all left and did all that, and they just did the vote and passed it anyway.
That is fantastic. And of course, you probably saw that Kamala Harris was trying to compare what they did to the marchers in Selma. Really? Really?
I didn't even see that one.
Oh, please. So you were going to tell me a story, Ryan.
You ready for this? Yeah, so I'm going to present another. It seems like this has happened once a week lately. I go to the grocery store and I find myself in a moral quandary. So I'm going to present to you the quandary. I want to ask you what you would do, and I'll tell you what I did. I'm walking through with my cart. It's about half full. That's not pertinent to the story at all.
I'm going to erase that.
There's a mom there with two kids that are roughly, I'd say, 10 and 8 years old. And they're climbing up on top of there's one of those end cap kind of displays.
Seriously, her kids are climbing on the end cap?
It's one of those that has all the soda, the 12-pack sodas.
Who does that? Wait,
And
I'm stuck. I'm stuck there. Who allows their kid to do that?
Right.
It's dangerous.
Right. So I'm painting a picture
Okay.
for you.
All right.
They're creating basically a big tower throne out of these 12-packs and climbing up on top of it.
Oh, so they're building something. They're making it Legos or something.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, it was already kind of built up, but they're kind of
Yeah.
fashioning it better so that they can use it and they're playing.
Little boys, right? Little boys.
No, one boy, one girl, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
And the boy was definitely the instigator, though, and he was the one doing most of it, and his sister was along for the ride. And so I walked past them. I'm like, whatever, kids are playing. I don't think they're really hurting anything, but it's a little much.
Ill-mannered, but okay.
Usually you walk past somebody in that situation and they look to you like, oh, I was going to allow this just because nobody was there. But now somebody's walked down the aisle and you go, hey, kids, get down because now somebody's seen me, and she didn't even act like I was there. And I was kind of surprised. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess she doesn't.
No shame at all.
No shame.
Okay.
Okay, whatever. No big deal, though. It was whatever. So I get up into the line. I had to go down one more aisle, and I came back down. By the time I get done, she and her kids are in the line ahead of me. and there's only one line because of, the worker shortage. So I get in line behind her, and her kids are acting just as wild as they were. So I was like, oh, okay, this isn't an isolated incident that they were just being bad. These kids are just wild kids and have no discipline. And the 10-year-old walks up to my cart, and he's just flailing his arms like he's just out of control. And he walks up to my cart and puts his foot on it and just sort of like kicks it and spins it. And I'm holding the cart.
Ooh.
Your cart. This
is my cart. What do you do in that instance? And then I will tell you what I did.
I would say, excuse me, young man. And look at his mother. What did you do?
What would you do, Jake?
Oh man, I think it's tough. 10-year-old kid just kicks my cart. I don't know. I'd probably be like, hey man, let's not do that. I definitely wouldn't be like the hey young man. I don't think I'm old enough to. I don't think I'm old enough to pull that off yet. I don't know if I'm old enough to pull that off yet. I would just probably be like, hey man, why don't you not do that? And I would say something like, kind of flippant and casual, not really as stern, but loud enough for the mom to hear. Be like, hey, this kid's doing this. Like, let's get her attention, but I'm not gonna young man the kid. I don't know exactly how I would do it.
I would. Okay. Anyway, what'd you do?
I figured you would, Heidi. So without thinking,
I'll go full Karen.
Yeah, I didn't think it through. I didn't think, how do I approach this situation? I just instinctively looked this kid right in the eye, and I said, no. And he just froze.
Did you say it just like that?
Yes.
All right.
I was like, no.
God,
I'm sure he doesn't have a father. I guarantee you there's no husband or father around. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I would agree. I don't know, but that seems
he's
to be
not used to the dad voice, the alpha male telling him no, which is what every kid needs.
Exactly. That was my instinct as a dad was just, I'm going to treat you like a young man and tell you wrong. No.
Good for you.
And he didn't know what to do.
Right.
And I was glad. And so he just stood there and he looked at me. And I mean, we locked eye contact for a good 15 seconds.
Wow.
Hang on. Do you know how long 15 seconds is?
I do.
Because people throw around 30 seconds, 10 seconds.
No.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking minimum 10, maximum 15.
Wow.
Oh,
right in that zone where nothing's being said.
That's too long to be staring at someone else's kid.
Exactly. It was like, okay, dude, you get that you're not going to win here. And he, I wasn't trying to like battle him, but the dad in me came out.
Right. Of course it should come out. That's what alpha males need to raise the next generation.
Yes.
Hello.
And so he kind of, I think, finally realized, oh man, this guy is serious. And he clearly had not had anybody ever respond that way to him.
I feel sorry for him.
And I did too. And so he finally broke gaze with me, and he kind of went back and sort of stood behind his mom a little bit.
Right.
And then he starts making fart noises at me. At this point, I'm like, man, I don't know what to do because this kid just is out of his element.
He knows he needs to antagonize you, but he realizes that the cart is not the way to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. He's going for the more audio attacks at you.
Yeah.
So what is the mom doing during it? Did she hear you say no or anything?
The mom, Jake, could not care less about any of this is happening. I don't even know if she knew it was happening.
I was about to say, did she seem aware?
No.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And that bothered me more than anything. It's weird situations like this. I've been in a couple of them with kids just acting up at picnics and stuff like that aren't your kids, that you walk a fine line, because if their parents are around, you look to their parents and say, first, this is your job. I don't want to take your job. This is your job. But if they don't do anything, you kind of have to do something if it encroaches on your space or your conversation or whatever's happening. And so it did, Heidi, it made me sad that I knew instantly this kid does not have a male figure in his life.
That's right. He doesn't have a dad in the house, and I feel sorry for him. And I don't know what his situation is, but bully on mom if she had them without a husband. If she chose that, bully on her. If she didn't choose it, she needs to find herself a male influence.
Well, for all we know,
disaster.
they do have a dad, but the dad could just be
he's
like the mom. Like it's like kind of whatever. Like
there was no structure to anything they were doing.
That's just terrible. And in 10 years, when they're both in jail or headed to jail, You know, I mean, it's just so sad. I don't know why people have children if they're not going to, you know, expect them to behave a certain way. I don't understand why they even bother.
I mean, there's no way for me to know her situation.
No, we don't.
All I know is that I saw that she had given up. She was deciding that she was not going to try to discipline her kids at all.
Well, if your kids don't respect you at 3, when you can pick them up, it's like, how are you winning this argument? I can pick you up. You know, give me a break. If you don't get them under control, and I know everything because I don't have kids, but if you can't win that when they're 3, you're in big trouble later on. That's for sure. I'm Heidi Harris. Had a great time filling in for Annie Frey. I will see you all again on Monday. Stay tuned for Mark Reardon.
Another glass of that rock and roll. Turn up the band, find the hole, gonna lose control tonight. What do you want from me? I'm not a Mary the Sweet.
It's Mark Reardon for CertaPro Painters, and if you have a painting job that's on your to-do list, don't do it yourself. You're going to do something that's a lot more fun than painting, and you're going to go with CertaPro Painters, and they're going to do a great job. They're going to knock it out of the park. This is for house painting, commercial painting. They do it all. They transform homes.